Hey guys, welcome back to the IPSL round of 16 Group B. Once again, joining me in the caster booth today, none other than Rice Hat. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing amazing. I mean, we just had an amazing cast yesterday with a Rhett versus Cross like 2-0 lead for Crossy, and then Rhett came back with like a literal reverse sweep, winning the last two games of the day. And now
Yeah.
we get a quite a treat today with Bonyth, Napoleon, G5, and JDConan. I think I talked about yesterday how I'm especially excited for G5 versus JDConan because it's almost like a clash of generations.
Yeah, it's like the old guard versus the new blood. Definitely. Yeah, G5's been around since the dawn of time, whereas JD Conan's like this up and coming gamer who's only been playing for a few years, but he's improved super fast, super
Mhm.
amazingly well. And yeah, I kind of feel like Bonyth versus Napoleon. I would definitely say Bonyth is a clear favorite in that game number one. But yeah, G5 and JD Conan could be spicy.
Yeah, that's the one I'm really excited about. Um, Especially since, yeah, you were right. G5 has been here since the absolute dawn of time. I think the first time I ever heard of G5 was when he beat Boxer or something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is way back when.
Yeah, and G5, he used to always go for Bulldog plays and PVT, but there's no Terrence for him to Bulldog this time
It's
around.
unfortunate.
Yeah, but he's been around for a very long time. I'm sure most people here will know who that is. But he's up against some new blood. I think JD Conan's like, what, 26? He's very fresh. And yeah, he's going to be giving G5 a little bit of a run for his money.
Yeah, he's a little bit known for bulldogging. He's known for playing very, very greedy in Protoss versus Terran. I haven't seen a whole lot of him play Protoss versus Zerg. But I do remember the first time I ever played NSL, if you know what that is, non-star league
Mm,
back
yeah.
in the day. The first game I ever casted of G5 in that tournament, he went like some kind of strange like scout build, which I was like not expecting at all, and it like didn't work.
Hey, what matchup was that in? Was that a PVZ or
That
PVT?
was a PVZ, yeah.
Yeah, was it one base scout or what was the
I think
opening?
it
Do you
was something
remember?
like one base scout into like Dark
Yeah,
Templar. Like it
yeah.
just like was the wackiest build I've ever seen.
Yeah, you can play one base Stargate, and yeah, theoretically you can get away with making a scout and maybe punishing some drones that aren't protected, but it's not exactly a meta build these days. Sometimes it will catch a Zerg off guard though.
Yeah, but we'll see if he has anything wacky for JDConan. I'm sort of expecting him to play standard, just because I feel like his macro is really where he shines as like a player.
Mm.
Um, Especially if you've seen him play PVT, he loves to go for like 20 million bases and a billion gateways.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure that he'll put out a good show today. I'm not actually sure how to call this group. I think Bonyth's a clear favorite in the group, but I don't know how I feel about JD Conan and G5. I think that could kind of go either way. My brain is telling me I should lean a little bit towards JD Conan, but I think G5 still got it in him to get out of this group.
It's really hard to say. I haven't seen G5 play in a very, very long time, so and also he doesn't seem to participate that often in a lot of these tournaments.
Right.
Um, so it's yeah, I have a very hard time gauging just how, in shape he is at this point.
Yeah, I think last time in the round of 24 he mentioned something about feeling like he was playing pretty bad. I don't know if that's just because he's not been practicing a lot. Maybe he's had a lot of time to grind out some games since the round of 24, and he'll show some sharper stuff here today. It's hard to say.
Mhm. Well, the other matchup we have going on is, the one we have first is Bonyth versus Napoleon. Do you think Napoleon has any chance against Bonyth?
Napoleon, he's kind of got a slightly unique style and approach to the game overall. But no, I don't think you can easily get one over Bonyth. Like, obviously, everyone's got a non-zero chance of winning any given game of StarCraft. So I'm not like putting him at 0% or anything. But I think Bonyth is a strong favorite there.
Yeah, it's a little hard when your opponent is literally one of the best Protosses outside of Korea,
Yeah.
who often goes like 50-50 with DeWalt. So
Yeah, although
it's a little hard. It's a little tough for him, but I think Napoleon might have a chance of. Okay, so here's how I think Napoleon gets out of this group. So he
okay.
goes 0-1 against Bonyth, unless he pulls off some crazy cheese and just like catches him off guard, wins the best of one. But assuming
Mm,
that doesn't happen, um, if G5 beats JDConan, I think Napoleon can win the ZVZ against JD.
maybe. I mean, yeah, ZVZ is pretty spicy. Can even if you are technically the better Zerg player, maybe your skill set isn't suited to the intensive micro of ZVZ. We saw that with Rhett yesterday,
Mhm.
right? Like he had a little bit of a hard time. He did still manage to break out of the group, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah, Napoleon might have a lot more difficult of a time because JDConan is known for his micro, and if you have really good micro, you have really strong ZVZ. So it
Yeah.
might need to be like something like really weird happens in the game, or you catch them off guard with a lot of lings, or some surprise build.
And I think Napoleon, just to point out, I think Napoleon is one of these guys that's been around for a very long time as well. He's just slightly less well known than players like G5. I think he's been around in the scene since the early days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Do you remember what his skill level is? Is he like a low S rank player?
Something like that. Yeah, he's like
Hmm.
high A, low S ish. I don't know what he is right now, but yeah, he's around there. Definitely capable to play in the BSL Gosu League. You know, he's pretty damn good player.
Mm, I see. I see. Well, he has it. He really has a uphill battle here. These are probably some of the most like legendary players in the foreign scene right now. Honestly.
Yeah, Napoleon's also a 2v2 player, and that can help you out.
Hmm.
You know, having a different range of experience and understanding of the game. Like 2v2 makes you think about the game in different terms. So that can actually sometimes translate into 1v1 as well.
Yeah. 2v2 also tends to be, like, very aggressive, I've noticed, like,
Yeah,
you wanna get units out fast, you wanna get really fast units as well, and you just kinda wanna try and gang up on a particular person, so I think
right.
if if Napoleon has a lot of 2v2 experience, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for some, like, some, form of aggression early on or some kinda muta play.
Yeah, it's possible. I wouldn't put it past him. And he also does play slightly unorthodox, like the
Mhm.
timings of his strategies. They're just a little bit different than maybe some of these guys are used to. And sometimes that can be a big benefit because you've got a lot of experience playing your weird style against everything, and everyone else doesn't have any experience playing against your weird style, right? So yeah, sometimes you can get the better of people just by kind of like making it harder for them to pin you down on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned that he might not try to bring any kind of weirdness into the game, because the last couple times I've seen Napoleon play ZVP, he's always liked to go for, like, 5 hatch Hydra or something like
Yeah.
that, where he just, like, tries to play for the mid game.
Yeah, he definitely seems more mid game centric from what I've seen of him in ZVP. He might still throw out a little bit of weirdness in that mid game that some players aren't, you know, as comfortable with facing off against. But we'll have to see. I mean, sometimes players, when they're playing against someone that they deem a better opponent, they get a little bit scared and they just play as standard as possible. But that can sometimes be their doom, right? If you play too standard against a superior opponent, that's kind of playing into their hands a bit.
Mhm, mhm. Do you remember, there was a player in, like, a previous season of IPSL or BSL or something, and I think we casted him, and he played like an unorthodox Zerg style that wasn't, like, cheesy, but it was, like, all the timings were weirdly off, and it just ended up, like,
Mm.
working out to, like, be able to beat, like, a stronger opponent just because his
That
timings were, like, slightly off and, like, the other person didn't really, like, know what to do.
That might have been Napoleon. I'm not 100% sure, but that kind of rings true with his style. It could have been him. I'm not
I remember
100%
it was a
no.
Zerg player, but I don't know if it was Napoleon. I think his name started with the letter D? I'm not
E?
sure, I'm not sure.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I
That might have
cast
been
so many
Napoleon, I
games,
don't.
it's hard to remember them all.
Yeah. It wasn't Julian though. I know Julian likes to play weird, but it wasn't
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how this group is going to go. Like, I'm fairly certain Bonyth is going to win the group and probably get out first. But as far as these other three guys are concerned, I actually don't know for sure. Like, I'm kind of got
Mhm.
the inclination that JDConan should be getting out of the group second, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I feel like G5 and Napoleon have a shot too.
Yeah, I would say JD is definitely the slight favorite, especially since I mean, if I don't know how to gauge G5's, I guess, shape, like, it probably means he's not really in shape, right? Because we just haven't seen him play a whole lot. It's possible, like, this entire time he's been grinding on the ladder, he's been grinding
Right.
practice games with his teammates, but without the actual, like, tournament experience. But the other thing is he is also, like, an old player, so, like, tournament nerves might not even affect him at this point. But, yeah, if we
Yeah.
haven't really seen him play, he I think it's likely he's gonna be out of practice.
Well, like I said, the last time I spoke to him, he was saying that he was playing pretty bad. I think that was because he wasn't playing a lot. Yeah, we don't know if he's been grinding out crazy amounts of games since that time. Who knows? Maybe he's been playing like a madman
Mhm.
in that interim. But yeah, maybe not. Maybe he's just not playing his best game today. And we could even see an upset where, Napoleon ends up having a ZVZ with JDConan and ends up coming out on top. It's definitely possible.
Mhm. Well, we'll see. I mean, hopefully these games get started soon. I think we're having a little bit of delays here, with, some of the players not being quite ready.
Yeah, I don't see Napoleon in the channel. JD Conan is online but not responding. So there's going to be a little bit of a delay with getting these games set up. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if the stream can hear Arn talking there, but he's working on it. So just stand by while we try to connect you guys. A couple of gamers a little bit late to the party, having a bit of a Sunday lion.
Yeah, they have to finish their mimosas first, and then they'll be on their way, right?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
There's, like, a chart that I've seen, like, circle around where, like, if you hit a certain level amount of alcohol in your system, it, like, boosts your performance, but only if you hit a specific blood alcohol con you've heard of that, right? You've
Yeah,
seen
I've
that
heard that.
chart,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of people back in the day that used to say that they play StarCraft better when they're a little bit drunk. Obviously, you
Mhm.
don't want to be like so drunk you can't hit the keys
Yes.
accurately. But yeah, if you're a little bit tipsy, I think maybe that it like gets rid of some kind of the inhibitors or the way your brain is filtering stuff. Maybe stops you being less anxious and caring about the long term of your performance, and you're just kind of focused on the here and now, and you kind of go with the flow more. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, mentality is a huge part of the game, and if, having a little swig, helps with your mental, helps you
Yeah.
calm down, helps you, like, focus on the game, then that's definitely something.
Yeah, a little bit of a Dutch courage, as they say, can go a long way.
Mhm. Alright, well, it seems like we do have a game, being set up right now. It is gonna be G5 versus JDConan, not quite, the game we thought we would start off at, but honestly, I have no issue with this is the game I wanted to see
Yeah,
more than anything else.
yeah, this is going to be the spiciest of the two games that we're going to start off with, and it's better to just start rather than being waiting for too long for the other
Yeah,
players
yeah,
to
we don't
get
wanna
around.
keep you guys from watching StarCraft for too long. We're all
Exactly.
excited to see it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Looks like we got a little bit of a bio break from G5. He's just
Oh
going to
my
sprint to
god.
the bathroom. There's always
I cannot
delays,
believe it.
delays upon delays, man. This is like the
We've been
release of
waiting
GTA 6.
we've been waiting 18 minutes, and then he's like, "Actually, I have to go to the bathroom as well."
At least we've got JD Conan in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lobby ready as well. So as soon as he gets back, we can get started off. Should be a good one.
Dude, I'm excited, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what G5 has in store for us. It's been so long since I've watched him play.
Yeah. I've only seen a few of his games recently. Such an old school player, and he's up
Mhm.
against quite literally the youngest player in the competitive circuit. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, Stark I feel like Brood War really is kind of missing some new blood,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it is.
especially at, like, the pro level. I feel like a lot of it is because it's so top heavy that only, like, the
Right.
actual professional, like, ASL level players can actually make a living playing StarCraft, and if you're, like, a part-time player, it just doesn't like, you just don't practice enough to be able to compete.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Well, actually, looks like both players might be ready. So, in just a few moments here, we'll be getting started up. Yeah, I think there's also a problem with like instant gratification, and like a lot of people don't
Yeah.
want to play these old hard games. They want something that's a little bit more easily accessible. They don't want to have to go on a steep learning curve. And let's be honest, Brood was the hardest game ever made. But starting off the game now, match number one here in the IPSL Group B, G5 versus JDConan on Silphid.
Alright, here we go. The man, the myth, the legend himself, the person who famously beat Boxer. It is G5.
And his opponent down here in the bottom left corner, the young blood to the scene, very dangerous up and coming individual. It's JDConan.
So this famous match between G5 and Boxer was actually not televised. It was the White Raw versus Boxer match that was super famous, but apparently, I don't know where I heard this from. It's from
Mm,
some old video, but someone was like, "Yeah, they don't know that like while White Raw was beating Boxer on TV, in like a similar tournament or the same tournament, like offline or not offline, but like off screen." G5 actually managed to beat Boxer, and the only person who watched it was Idra, who was behind him at the time. And he just turned around, and Idra said something like, "Maybe now the Koreans will take us seriously." Like he said something like that.
that sounds about like Idra. Yeah, no, I can believe that. By the way, do you notice how JDConan like just like got off the chair to go and like take care of something in the background there?
That's kind of legendary, honestly.
That's
I've
like
done
such
that
a
before too. I
that's
like
such a
never pause games. I just like do it real quick.
yeah, that's such a Flash thing to do. Like back in the day, Flash would do that a lot, where he just like set up his SUVs to build, and then like go and start messing with his keyboard or taking a drink and taking his hands off the mouse and that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people when they're like really locked in, they start spamming on the keyboard, and other people they're just like relaxed. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'll like play with my settings a little bit. I'll set up my keyboard. Oh, a bit of a
Ooh.
block here from G5. That's definitely gonna be annoying. But usually
Yeah.
it's not actually worth it for the Protoss to do economically. It's more of like a mental like like a mental FU. I don't know.
Yeah, it can be like a little bit tilting for the Zerg rather than being good for the Protoss player overall. But actually, he's not
Oh
able
my!
to throw down this hatchery again. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He's got 500 minerals, but he's blocked
Holy!
again! He's
How
blocked
many
again!
times is this bro gonna deny
Oh
this
my god.
hatchery?
He didn't build he could have built that hatchery somewhere else and got another drone to build that hatchery in the time that it took him to actually finally start making that. That's crazy. What a delay to start things off. And behind this, G5, he's just doing a forge fast expand, nothing spicy at all, and going to be enjoying a bit of a comfortable lead, I would say now.
Yeah, never underestimate the power of probe harass. You can always tell when like a Protoss player is like good or like is like a micro player when they're just so annoying with the probes. They're just constantly delaying everything, doing light harass, forcing your attention away from what you actually want to do. And oh my god, JDConan adjusting his seat again.
He's not comfortable.
I can't take my eyes off him anymore. Ever since you pointed that out.
Yeah, he's definitely moving around a lot and probably feeling a little bit of pressure as well with how this early game has developed. Used a scouting drone to throw down a third hatchery in that bottom left pocket expansion. So he does have his 3 hatcheries, but they're a little bit slower than they should be. And oh, he's going to go for a Ling run by though. There is 3 probes to try and block this, but if he keeps these Lings up here by the Nexus and just uses them to harass a little bit, that's useful. Let's see if he wants to try and get them into the main base. It does seem like he wants to try and get them into the main base. And this is going to be a little bit annoying for G5. Like, if he's not really on top of his probes. Oh, he already lost 1. That's a pretty big deal. If he loses any more, this is going to start stacking up a lot.
Yeah, this is actually super annoying for Protoss to deal with, and never underestimate the power of 2 Lings when they're microed correctly, right? Like,
yeah.
Lings are just such like a responsive microable unit, and probes and other workers just aren't. So they can usually get stuck, and that's when the Lings can really deal their damage. But the first Zealot is out, and I expect this little harassment to be chased away.
Well, the Lings move slightly faster than the Zealots, so if you're like really on top of your Lings, you can keep like looping around Nexus and eventually get another probe kill. Just takes a little bit more time. There are 2 probes that are very low on HP. If he can find them, that's a big deal. Like, he's already done enough damage though where maybe it's kind of making up for the hatcheries being a little bit late. If he gets any more, then he's going to be feeling better and better about his game state.
Yeah, even the tiny amount of like mineral optimization that, or mineral anti-optimization that happens when whenever you have to pull probes. But, oh my gosh, look at this! We're actually diving straight on the cannon. Is the game over?
Wow, the game could be over. He's got a Dragoon instead of a Zealot coming out as well. That is not ideal at cleaning up these speed lanes. This game could just be over. He's just...
Look at JDConan!
Honestly, though, like, this is
what
G5's
was he doing?
bad.
Like...
It was like he was either he was like imitating like Zerg being an easy race, or imitating G5 being a whiner or something. I don't know. But one thing I'd like to point out is, I told you, right, in the last group cast that like Sylphid is a map that's actually good for Protoss as long as you survive the initial Ling pressure.
Yes, yes.
And that's the thing that G5 didn't respect enough. He didn't anticipate the continued Ling aggression, didn't scout enough, and didn't identify that he wasn't as safe as he thought he was. So that's definitely on G5.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned in the last cast that this is like a lower level issue that people deal with, but no, this happens at the high level as well, especially if you're just a little bit out of practice. A lot of things just like don't really work the way you envision in your brain.
Right.
If you're not used to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, man, because you've got like technically 3 holes to defend. You've got the hole between the buildings, and you've got like a 2 hex tile like hole on the other side between the cliff face. It's quite a big deal, like if you don't respect it, then it's your fault at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the other thing about that game is because JDConan has Lings in his base, like, you're forced as Protoss to deal with the Lings with your Zealot when you could be using the Zealot to scout, like move out on the map and apply pressure to Zerg. Like, effectively, G5 was playing blind the whole game. So how is he supposed to know that he needed to make it like a second cannon or block the gateway?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's the hard thing about Protoss is when you're playing in the dark, it does not feel nice. And if you're against speedlings, like scouting with probes and individual zealots, it's not easy. Sometimes you've just got to, if you can't scout, you've just got to bite the bullet and just have more probes and zealots in your wall in. And like, attack your own buildings with the probes. They're like forced on hold position before the zealot's done. Once the zealot's done, you can put them on hold position and just kind of bite that economic bullet to begin with, so that you don't allow something like Ling run-bys to come in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's a little bit of an unfortunate start to the series, but next up we have Bonyth versus Napoleon, and because JDConan advanced to the upper bracket, I mean we're sort of expecting Bonyth to win. So the most likely scenario is we get a lot of PVZs and not a lot of mirror matchups, which I personally am a fan of.
Yeah. By the way, we've got a bit of a spicy development occurring. It does seem like Napoleon is a no-show for the time being.
Oh no.
He's not going to be automatically eliminated, but it does mean that he's probably going to give a walkover to his first game and drop down to the losers match, and hopefully he can show up a bit belatedly to try and claw back his way from there. But it does seem like we'll be going into a winners match sooner rather than later, and it's going to be Bonyth versus JDConan there.
That is a little unfortunate, guys. Don't forget to always mark your calendars whenever you sign up for these tournaments. I don't know if he slept in or if he simply forgot. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, also respect your alarms.
yeah. Well, it must be that more that he forgot, because if it was like an emergency or like there's something changed in his schedule, surely he would like send out a DM to Arn and be like, "I can't make it or whatever. I'm going
Yeah,
to be late." So yeah, it's probably something like he's forgot or slept in.
but okay. I mean, that is very, very unfortunate, but, the result is that Bonneth, moves up upper bracket, which is not like which is the outcome that we were all expecting anyway. So that's fine, I guess. Still a little disappointing. I would have liked to see Napoleon try something a little funky to
Yeah,
maybe pull out one of his, like, weird builds to see if he can, like, catch Bonneth off guard.
yeah, I would have liked to see what he had planned to try and deal with Bonyth. Maybe subconsciously, he was just fearing Bonyth so much he was trying to protect himself by not showing up today. I'm pretty sure Bonyth would have ran a train on him. I think that's just is what it is. Bonyth's micro is just so exceptionally good, and Bonyth himself is a 2v2 player.
Yeah.
He's been playing a lot of 2v2 recently, and he's damn good at it as well because he's a more microcentric individual.
Well, okay, let's talk a little bit about, JDConan versus Bonneth because that I believe now that that's dealt with, then we're gonna go on to the upper bracket finals. And I think JDConan, he has a shot, I think. I think he
I
has a
think
shot.
so. I think
Mhm.
so. Yeah,
I would
I
say
still
it's
think.
like 70-30, 80-20, something like that?
It's something around there. Yeah, I would give it. I'll be a little more generous and say it's closer to 70-30, around that sort of margin. I feel like he has
Mhm.
a shot, but because it's a best of three and it's Bonyth, then yeah, like you got to really expect a Bonyth victory overall. But I think like JDConan has a way better shot against Bonyth than a lot of other players would.
Mhm. Well, I can't wait to see that. I mean, Bonneth, as you know, is like incredibly famous for his Reaper micro, and for his I believe the other thing he's famous for is in PvT, he likes to go Corsair D-Web
Yeah,
into
I've seen
Mass
it a few
Dragoons.
times. I've seen it a few times. It is really special when he does pull out something like that. It's such an old school style. Like that, you're talking like way back when, during like the Android era, back when
Mhm.
like 4U was the best player,
Oh, that's
Proto
like
Sky.
2005, right?
Yeah, even maybe a tiny bit before that. Yeah, around that era. Yeah, about 2004, 2005, and that was when you were seeing people experiment with D webs against Terrans. It was pretty good in that era because Terrans weren't as solid as they are today with their macro
Mhm.
and unit control in general. So it's way harder to execute now than it was back then, but it's still such a fun style to watch.
Man, you mentioning, like, For You and Android just, like, unlocked, like a memory, like, it reconnected so many old neurons in my brain. Have you ever watched that really, really, really old StarCraft WCG documentary?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
with
you know what I'm
the
talking
yeah,
about, right? The
yeah,
one that
no,
followed Zealous?
Zealous, yeah, yeah, the game on Paranoid Android, yeah.
That was the doc that got me into pro level StarCraft, I'm not gonna lie. I watched that as, like, a kid. Like, I was, like, what, like 10, 11 years old, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so sick."
Didn't she talk about For You a little bit? And she was saying something along the lines of like, at 26, For You is like as old and as grizzled as they come.
Yeah, yes. No, but I don't even think 4U was 26, I think he was, like, 24, like,
Something like that, mid
he was
20s.
very young, right? he's like shit. He's known as Papa Bear, and he like this might be the last game before he retires, like something like that.
Oh god, it's so funny to think about because we all did kind of think that back then. We thought like StarCraft was a young man's game, and that like once you get to a certain age, you're just not fast enough anymore. But it actually turned out to be the reverse is true. Like the old guys have a lot of experience. As long as they have some speed, like they actually dominate the younger players.
Yeah, and there was a whole debate over APM, how important APM is. A lot of people would say that it's overrated, and I do think that is true. It is
A
pretty
little bit, yeah.
overrated at
It,
this
it
point.
depends on what you're talking about specifically. Are you talking about like APM including spam or EAPM, like the effective APM underneath the
Oh,
raw
that's
number?
a whole other debate where people are starting like EAPM versus APM, and then is EAPM actually important? Like,
Yeah, because
yeah.
I'm a total noob at the game, but I've been able to hit 500 APM microing Mutalisk. Doesn't mean you've got 500 APM. Just means you're clicking a crazy amount, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, it just means your fingers like moving really fast. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually
right.
doing anything important with it.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And some of these guys, like they have really low APMs, like they're like barely hitting 300, but they've got like 150, 200 EAPM. Like every click that they're doing actually matters.
I actually have a funny story for this, and yes, Stream can hear me for this one because it's really hilarious.
Okay.
So EWC did a documentary series a year or two ago, and part of it had StarCraft 2 in it. So we watched that one episode, bad for a lot of other reasons. But at one point when they're introducing StarCraft 2, they have this lady who clearly knows nothing about the game talking about it. And she's like, you'll see these players get up to 500 APM, which means they're making 500 individual decisions every. It's like, no, what?
As opposed to just holding down a key on the
500
keyboard to
decisions a
macro.
minute.
Yeah, she ran with it. She said it's so because it was like a documentary narration. She's like, yeah, like gaming expert lady. Yeah, they're just making 500 to 600 decisions every minute. It's that impressive. And I'm like, it is
I mean,
impressive, but like,
yeah, I mean, I kind of get what she's saying, like, but she's a little bit misguided, right? Like, yeah, it's not that they're making that many decisions. That it's probably closer to like 200 decisions a minute or something around that area that they're actually making, and the rest is like extra clicks to have precision.
I would
like
not
manually
say I've
pathfinding.
decided to click like it's. I don't know.
But in StarCraft 2, it's even more crazy, right? Because you can literally just like hold down a key to like make units out of all of your
Oh, that's
buildings that
true.
are on one hotkey, and that counts as individual APM.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Holding down the Z key has inflated my APM as a StarCraft 2 Zerg like so much.
Yeah. Like I think I don't know if like players are still doing it now. I've not played Legacy of the Void, but like the only thing that was fancy for Zerg macro in StarCraft 2 was like having all of the queens on hotkey and then like flicking between all the hatcheries to inject them quickly. It's the only thing that was like slightly impressive with the macro.
Oh yeah, that was like a tech that I tried to learn, but what always ended up happening is I'd like screw it up just a tiny bit and have the wrong queen like go to the wrong hatchery. So I just have queens running all over the place, injecting like
Yeah.
different hatcheries, and it just like didn't work at all.
It was a button that like cycled between all of your bases, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
had to rebind that to a different button because I think the original button was like backspace or something ridiculous.
yeah,
Like
and
you can't
we'd
use that.
also like bind our infested Terran to like mouse wheels, so you can like spam crazy amounts of
Oh
infested
yeah, yeah,
Terrans all
yeah.
at once. Yeah,
The
that was
mouse
all it
wheel
is.
bind and the rapid fire like notepad changes to maybe nah. I was like, maybe I should go back. Nah.
Well, looks
Brutal.
like finally we've got our game, guys. We're going straight ahead to the winners match with that walkover. Gonna be JDConan on Bonyth, game number 1 on Sylphid. Let's get it started.
All right. Both players coming in hot with their player cams, spawning on the 12 o'clock position of Sylphid. It is none other than Starcast Bonyth.
Can't tell if he's just slumped in his chair or really short, but down in the bottom right corner his opponent from Bolivia, the fresh newcomer to the StarCraft scene, the young blood, JDConan.
I think there are some players who, whenever you watch them play like a game in a tournament, you just stare at their player just to see how they react to everything. I think JDConan is one of them. I think the other player is definitely Artosis. There's this whole like meme about his lip APM, because whenever he's focusing, he starts moving his lips a lot.
Yeah, don't people draw similarities with like the Muppets? I can't remember what the Muppets called. Like, his mouth kind of does move like a Muppet. Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. For those in the chat who watch StarCraft 2, I know Rainer's a fun person to watch on cam because he's always like, especially in the beginning of the game, he has like some Italian rap song playing. He's always like grooving to it and like rapping along.
Yeah, I think JDConan sometimes grooves out to songs and kind of sings on the cam as well. You'll see sometimes him grooving out a little bit.
And that last game, man, what was that face that he made? That was so funny. I really want to see something like that again.
I can't tell if he was making fun of G5, like impersonating him, or if he was kind of like not like what's the word for it, like embracing the Zerg craziness and like showing that he's a crazy man.
I think it's a fair response to your opponent typing Zerg instead of GG. Right? We're so distracted by JDConan's reaction that I feel I almost forgot that G5 typed Zerg instead of GG at the end of that game.
This is some good pro press from Bonyth, winning the 1v1 duel. It's so frustrating with drones versus probes. Like, you basically have to get a whole hit in for free without any return fire to win the 1v1. So if the probe even remotely immediately starts hitting you back after the first shot, you can't win the 1v1.
Yeah, I mean, JDConan just like has such amazing micro, and you see it at almost every level. We saw it with the Ling micro that last game. We're seeing it again with drones and possibly the Lings here once again. I think Bonyth is going to have to be really careful. I don't know if he was watching that last game, but I don't know. After seeing those Lings like slip by and stuff, I would be a little more cautious.
Well, he's gone for Gateway Expand, so he's got a couple of Zealots moving out now. Maybe that can put on some pressure. A third Zealot is not too far from popping out. Actually seems like Bonyth wants to run back home with these two Zealots and wait for the third one to pop out, just to make sure there's no run-by shenanigans that he has to worry about. This is a little bit of a mini-game you'll see a lot of times where the initial Zerglings pressure and there's a Zealot on probe holding the choke or ramp and waiting for the third Zealot to pop out.
Honestly, I kind of like this decision of going for Gateway Expand against JDConan because it kind of takes the initiative off of the hands of the Zerg player. I know, like, if JDConan is a big micro guy, he loves playing with his Lings and stuff like that. If you go for Zealot and put some, like, a bit of counter pressure on your opponent, then it kind of takes the steam away from his attack.
And honestly, it's actually pretty good on this map in particular. Like, with these first three Zealots, you can see they almost perfectly plug up the holes, right? Like, yes, he just lost a Zealot, but it does stop you getting overwhelmed by the Zerglings early as well. So it's actually not a bad build on Sylphid in particular, I would say.
Yeah, the weird entrances once again coming into play here, but I think you're definitely right. The extra Zealots will definitely help out with that, and it actually makes it a safer build against Ling aggression, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, usually it's not. I mean, if it was like a 9-pool opening, obviously the Gateway Expand not as strong, but as long as they open overpool or anything else, yeah, you're feeling reasonably comfortable here as Protoss.
Did you see that, like, probe vortex that just happened there?
Yeah, it looked like he was setting up to drill his own Sim City just in case there was more Lings coming.
How do you even set that up? Because you have to click a mineral to be able to do that, but which mineral did he even click?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless he the Zealot popped out far enough that he saw the gas at the false high ground, maybe? I have no idea.
I have no clue. But anyways, Bonyth is moving out with his initial 3 Zealots here. I think he feels safe enough to... Oh, that one might get surrounded. This is actually kind of a big deal here, but he does manage to save it in the end, but not before it takes quite a bit of damage here.
Yeah, and this is a 3-hatch Hydra follow-up from JDConan, so he has to slow down these Zealots from actually scouting and identifying this. Does he have the... Yeah, he has the Hydra Den at the 3rd base here. Usually
like
you don't... Go on.
Oh, I was just going to ask, is this like more all-in than 973? Because I see less drones than 97.
Well, he's got 4 at the 3rd base and less at the natural expansion than usual. So he's probably short by about 2 drones or so. And that's because he's making more lings than usual to try and obfuscate the build.
Yeah, honestly, I think Bonyth's decision to go Gateway Expand might be like... It might be messing with JDConan's plans here. And we actually see a Zealot slip on by here. The Hydra Den is not in the main or the natural, but he is going to see Hydras pop out, so that's a big sign.
Yeah, and they could kill quite a lot of drones if you don't chase this, so it's going to really slow down the overall attack timing. Oh, he loses the drone! That's such a huge deal because he's operating on about 3 less drones than he would usually have. A little bit of a miss micro there with the Zealot, but it does slow down the Hydras, does kill a drone. Now he has full information of what he's dealing with, and because he saw such little drone saturation with the Zealot, probably knows it's safe to just throw down a few extra cannons, knowing that a fake Hydra bust is not even that good for the Zerg here. So we'll just want to make sure he doesn't take as much damage as possible and plop down the 5th and 6th cannon and what have you.
Yeah, JDConan built so many lings in response to the Zealot aggression, and he also lost a drone on the backside here. He is about as all in as you can be at this point, and I think Bonyth really does recognize that.
Yeah, and he's putting some damage onto this Overlord so that he also has a get out of jail free card with a Dark Templar if he can eventually kill that Overlord. Okay, now we see JDConan pouncing onto this just before the 5th cannon warped in. Gonna pop 2 of those cannons, but loses so many Hydras for his troubles. This is not going so good for him to begin with. Like, so far, Bonyth doing a good job of slowing this down, throwing down a bunch of additional cannons. JDConan gonna have to just start picking off the Gateway and Forge in the meantime while more Hydras arrive.
Yeah, this is not a good situation for JDConan. He does need to tear these down to even have a chance, but the fact is this is delaying JDConan's attack, and now more and more cannons are being built here. I think if all these cannons finish, there is no universe in which these Hydras are able to bust this.
It depends on how many Hydras you got. Like, you'd be surprised. Like, I've seen delayed cannon rushes where you can pop like 8 to 10 cannons actually quite easily, as long as you've got a critical mass of Hydras. But he lost quite a few Hydras in that initial engagement, and he's taken a few pot shots here. Even loses a Hydra. That's a really big deal. So yeah, I don't feel like he can break through with the timing that he's got. I guess he kind of has to go for it still. High Templar is out, hasn't quite got enough energy for Storm just yet, but I don't think it's even going to matter. I think that with the probes and a couple of Zealots, he should be able to just barely hold this.
Yeah, of course, probes need to come in and try to body block the Hydras. It seems like, oh my god, we might have a chance here, but the body block from the probe just a little bit too good here, and the last 2 cannons should be able to drive these Hydras away.
Yeah, the probes don't just dish out a little bit of damage. The main thing is that they body block the Hydras to not be able to get into optimal firing positions to kill all of the cannons quickly enough. You can see JDConan's going to get a little bit of compensation coming into the natural expansion and skirmishing with the probes and forcing them to stop mining as Storm's about to come down. He's got 1 Storm available and another one about to come online. If he can help it, he won't want to Storm at all, but he will have to Storm as soon as these additional Hydras come out. Maybe JDConan can break this. If he gets in here right now, just before these other cannons, which has a monstrous Storm, though, and he even has a Dark Templar behind this as an insurance policy. So yes, JDConan might be able to barely kill off most of these cannons. Now, if he can kill the DT, that would be huge, but it's just barely slipping by.
This is actually such a tense moment here for both players. JDConan needs to break this, but I feel like Bonyth is just barely holding on with the units that he has. He can't lose these Zealots, though. He needs to buy time for the photon cannons to finish, and the probes are being pulled once again. I feel like JDConan might have actually done it.
this Overlord is coming in clutch because now the follow-up DT can also get shut down. Good micro here against the Archon. Needs to make sure he gets rid of this DT before it can slip outside of the Overlord vision yet again. It does look like JDConan's in prime position to take this game. There's a DT run by trying to get into the main base, but actually got blocked by the Hydra and does fall. That's critical. That was the main comeback mechanic here from Bonyth, getting that DT inside the main base and killing off all the drones. If he can't do that, he's going to have an even harder time stabilizing against this. He's going to have to tap out soon.
Wow, that was an impressive bust from JDConan. I was not a believer, I'll be honest. I did not think that he had the Hydra count to be able to kill, what, 8, 9 cannons, was that? Like, that was so much defense from Bonyth. But, like, he actually played that out so well. He got the Hydras to deny mining and, like, basically occupy space, preventing more cannons from preventing the destroyed cannons from getting replaced. Like, that was very well done.
Yeah, you see the little facial expression on JDConan. They look like a kid in a candy store after winning that game. And yeah, like I was saying, you'd be surprised at like what is actually bustable in terms of Hydra's breaking through cannons. Only a couple of zealots is not enough to soak. I thought that Bonyth would just barely be able to hold it, but yeah, that was well executed from JDConan, and he showed a lot of composure as well, like not getting too ahead of himself and skirmishing in the natural to stop the mining, and just being very calm and keeping an Overlord at the front for the DT, and made sure that the DT couldn't get inside the main base as well. Like, everything was quite methodical there. It was a really nice Hydra bust.
Yeah, absolutely impressive gameplay from JD and honestly, like not a whole it's a little bit of an upset, right? Like I would almost
Yeah, I would
consider
say so.
JD a tier below Bonyth, but now I can see JD coming out like first place in this group.
It's very possible, yeah. And this next map coming up, Attitude, it's a pretty damn good Zerg map, you know, way better than
Mhm.
something like Sylphid. So yeah, who knows? He could actually end up beating Bonyth 2-0 here. That'd be crazy.
I kind of wonder if he's going to try to go for something aggressive once again,
Yeah, I
because
don't know.
yeah, if you are the weaker player, right, the shorter the games are, the more of a chance you have to win.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like he's going to mix it up a little bit and go for the mid game here, maybe play a battle Zerg style. I guess it is possible that he decides to get aggressive again, but ideally he would have to have close spawns to go for something like that.
Yeah.
Looks like Conan needs about a minute or so before we jump into this next game. But yeah, what a fun start to the series. Even if Bonyth wins this game, it's going to be a 3-game series and be a bit of a banger.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a banger series. I can already tell just from that first game. It felt really, really close, right? Like
Yeah.
it so it seems like Napoleon did eventually show up, so we are going to be losers bracket. Um
Nice.
so that's good. That's good. We're going to see a little bit of Napoleon. I think he is matched up against G5. I think
Yeah.
G5 is the favorite for that particular
I would
matchup, but we'll
I would
see.
say so.
Mhm.
But he did look a little bit maybe tilted after that game against
Yeah.
JDConan, so maybe not feeling it today as well. Who knows?
Mhm. I think that the mental debuff could be enough for Napoleon to try and especially if Napoleon goes for something weird, right?
Hmm.
Like if he goes really aggressive with Lings or tries to do a Hydra bus, I think that could really tilt G5, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that happening. And I also don't know how to call this game between Conan and Bonyth. Like the fact that it's already 1-0 Conan, I think like the chances of him winning are actually pretty damn high now.
Yeah, never underestimate the power of momentum here. JD Conan's really feeling confident after that last game. Like I could totally see him playing out of his mind.
Yeah. Yeah, because like just having the mindset like, oh, I can actually win is a really big deal. Like now he knows Bonyth can bleed. He's not going to be as scared of him or timid about the series as he maybe did
Mhm.
first starting out.
All right. Well,
Just
it looks
getting
like these players are getting ready to go. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, Conan needs to actually swap his race to Zerg. He's currently on random. I'm not sure if he
Oh.
realizes.
They're like, why? He's just sitting there like, why aren't we starting yet? Like, come on.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, finally he switches to Zerg. Okay, okay. Well, I hope you guys are ready for it because we're about to get started now. Game 2 in the winners match, Group B of the round of 16 IPSL. JDConan versus Bonyth on Attitude.
All right, spawning on the top right-hand side of Attitude, one of the best Protoss players outside of Korea, we have Starcast Bonyth.
Down here in the bottom left, currently leading the series 1-0. An absolute young blood killer, the Bolivian bomber. It's JDConan.
So I really wonder if JDConan's going to try something aggressive this game, but judging from the spawns here, I feel like it's unwise to go for some kind of bust if you're spawning across.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird though. Like sometimes it's good to do a non-optimal build because it's non-optimal and they don't expect it, but that's like kind of an exception proves the rule type deal. That's like a mind game you might want to pull out in like a best of 7 series or something, and you've like been able to deny scouting really well. Like usually you wouldn't though.
Yeah, it's definitely a bigger risk, and even though the timings are off and that could catch your opponent off guard, the fact is that the timings are late,
Yeah.
right? And it's just going to be weaker than it normally would be if it was
For sure.
slow spawn.
For sure. Like it's better if it's like on a map like Knockout, where you've got like the trench. Sometimes that can like give like a false sense of security to the Protoss, where like, oh, I'm safe from Hydra Bust because you've got the miss chance to worry about. I could make less cannons and then you still get busted or something.
Yeah, it's all about how much of a mind game you're trying to play here. I mean,
Yeah.
if they fall for the false sense of security, you definitely have a stronger attack.
Right. It does look like another gateway expand here out of Bonyth. With cross map though, gateway expand also nowhere near as good as it would usually be. So that's going to help out JDConan a little bit starting off here. And he did go a little bit greedy. Did throw down that hatchery before pull.
Yeah, it's I think it's good. I mean, going a little bit greedy, especially against gateway expand, I feel like the only case where you can't really do, or the only case where you would get punished doing a fast hatchery is if they go forge first and cannon rush. So there's
Yeah.
not a whole lot that Bonyth can really do from this position to try and punish the extra greed JD showing.
Is he chasing? Oh yeah, he is. He's trying to slow down and body block the Zealot a little bit, and now harass it a little bit from behind to see if he can make it turn around once. Yeah, this is the fact that he has to go cross map with the Zealot means it's even harder to like get in here and pop a drone just before the lings pop out. As you can see, the Zealot will still arrive like around about the time the lings are ready. But if this was close spawns, like there's actually a chance of killing a drone, especially if you're using the probe in conjunction with the Zealot.
Yeah, it really is the cross spawn making things a little bit difficult. But the original scouting probe actually got quite a bit of damage done. But no, the lings pop out well before the Zealot gets into position. Any kind. Oh my God, he's gonna do the thing where you can position the probe behind the minerals and use its one range to deal damage to the drone. This is this is so cheeky.
Ooh, he's actually going to try and like poke out and see if he can get into the mineral line, but no. JDConan snipes the probe and now goes for a surround on the Zealot. Let's see if Bonyth can actually find connections on these drones. If he does kill a drone, it's a pretty big deal. Oh, doesn't target the right drone.
Oh, a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, he definitely he damaged 1 or 2 drones there enough that I think the Zealot could have like sniped it. Oh, he does in fact get a drone at the end, so that was actually ended up being very good for Bonyth.
Yeah. Is that a couple of lings in the main base? Yeah, there's a couple of lings for JDConan inside the main base. One of them, very low HP, gets taken out by a probe, a couple of particle beam connections. Don't think this Zergling's going to do much more besides get some scouting information and tax the APM a little bit of both players.
2 lings are definitely scary in your base, but 1 ling barely does anything. You can just fight it with your probe.
Yeah. And another scouting probe coming out here from Bonyth. Really important to see how many additional lings are being made and are en route to you, making sure you don't just get all in linged here. So he doesn't know for sure what the build order follow-up is going to be from JDConan. Could be something like on what we saw from Sylphid against G5 and just try and run it down and put a lot of pressure on.
JDConan showing 6 lings out on the map. He is droning behind it, so I think maybe hoping for a bit of an overreaction there from Bonyth, but Bonyth isn't taking the bait. He is just going through with his build, getting his tech up, only building 1 cannon.
Yeah, I'm not actually surprised to see JDConan just optimize for a mid-game here. I expected him to go for something a lot more mid-game centric, maybe a Battle Zerg style where you just try and lock the Protoss onto 2 gases for the majority of the game and slowly whittle them down that way. Or you could rush into Hive as well, but on maps like this, I tend to favor Battle Zerg a bit more.
This does seem to be a pretty good map for Battle Zerg, trying to get as much done in the mid game as you can. He's actually building quite a number of lings here. He might have recognized that Bonyth is skimping out a little bit on the defense here, but it does look like Bonyth gets the 2nd cannon, which should make him safer.
Well, against Gateway First, you should go up to about 12 lings total defensively. I think he's made slightly more than 12 overall. So yeah, maybe he's also trying to bait out Bonyth from being a bit too aggressive with his Zealots and then go for a surround in the middle on those Zealots. But looks like Bonyth, he's skimping out on those Zealots and actually won't be moving out with them.
First Corsair is out, and it's going to get a bit of scouting information done. From JDConan, we do see him go Spire. So he is going to... Well, it's not clear exactly what he's going to go for in terms of tech, but the meta right now is to get 5 mutas, just because it gives you like a lot of flexibility and a bit of initiative on the map.
But it does mean you would have to like sunken up, well, like 1 sunken at your natural, 1 sunken at your 3rd, and the Sim City that he's gone for at the 3rd makes me think that he's not doing the Mutalisk variation. That looks like a 6 Hatch Hydra version that he's going for here. Does concede an Overlord right off the bat. Luckily, there's not going to be a DT anytime soon to punish that. But yeah, I don't think he's going for Mutalisk style. With the gas banked up, he could eventually go for Muta Hydra, but it looks like he's starting things off with a Hydra opening.
Honestly, I do like that. Is something I kind of wanted to see from JDConan here, going for a big mid-game sort of aggressive play. And 6 Hatch Hydra is, well, it's definitely that, and I think it'll make the mid-game a pretty exciting to watch.
Well, I think he mind gamed Bonyth. He kind of made it look like it was going to be 6 Hatch Hydra, and then he threw down creep colonies, and I think he made some Mutalisks. I'm not 100% sure. Those could have been upgrades that he made. Yeah, okay, so I think he mind gamed Bonyth a little bit.
Dude, he mind gamed me too. I also thought he was going to go 6 Hatch Hydra with that.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a clever mind game, because you have to go home with the Corsairs because you haven't got 5 or 6 yet with +1, and they've got Scourge. But that means you can't confirm what the tech choice is going to be. So he kind of represented 6 Hatch Hydra, but he's actually going to make those Mutalisks.
He does have like 5 Corsairs now. JDConan is showing his mutas, so Bonyth should know exactly what is going on. But I'm actually not convinced these mutas can really get a whole lot done just because of the amount of Corsairs that Bonyth has, unless he gets some unlucky connections with Scourge here. And JDConan's making a lot of Scourge.
Yeah, he's got that 3rd gas, so definitely can lean heavily into this air fleet to start things off. Doesn't mean he's going to try and kill Bonyth with this build. It just means he's going to try and seize air superiority away from Bonyth. Could end up finding some damage. Looks like Bonyth making a cannon in his mineral line. He's going to need it because there is a chance the Zerg just flies in and kills you if you don't make a lot of Corsairs and cannons back at home.
Yeah, usually if you know your opponent is going for mutas, you have to get at least 2 cannons per mineral line. but it looks like JDConan only has 5 units, and these 5 units are actually getting completely destroyed by the Corsairs. The Scourge are here, though, and we get 2 connections so far, but this actually reduces the Corsair count to back down to 5.
Oh, so close to killing that one Corsair.
Yeah.
2 HP on that. Oh! Wow, he's killing a lot of these Corsairs, man. Unfortunately, they targeted the high HP Corsair with those Scourge, but it doesn't matter. Reducing the Corsair count's a pretty big deal. Zealot DT combination coming into the 9 o'clock base here for JDConan. This is a pretty good setup with the Sunkens and Hydras, but it looks like Bonyth goes after the Evo Chamber to cancel that upgrade. It's a pretty big win if you can stop the Zerg from getting much upgrades. And now the Corsairs are coming in too. This is a pretty successful attack from Bonyth. Like, he's not going to do crazy amounts of damage to JDConan. JDConan's actually eclipsing him in by supply a little bit after cleaning up that army. But stopping the Zerg's upgrades is actually a huge deal.
Yeah, it really puts a damper on the timings and the power spike that Zerg can get from it. He also dealt with most of the mutas, forcing JDConan to remake them. And JDConan actually making 2 Evo Chambers at home. He really wants to get his upgrades back on track and taking a 4th base as well, really going for that late game instead of the big mid-game play we thought he was going to make. And Bonyth still trying to be aggressive with 5 Zealots on the map as well as his Corsairs. But I'm not sure if he has the Corsair count to really threaten anything.
Yeah, probably not. The Corsairs won't do a whole lot, but maybe he can slightly overwhelm the Hydras here. It's like just barely enough Zealots to get some good trades, but eventually the Mutalisks will clean everything up. Not the best of trade here for Bonyth. It was nice that he got that upgrade snipe, but overall, this is actually looking pretty okay for JDConan. If he can get this 4th base set up and get some drones saturated up there, he's looking pretty good for this mid game. And with 2 Sunkens here and a bunch of Hydras popping out, this isn't going to do a whole lot either.
I feel like Bonyth might be being a little bit over aggressive here. JDConan actually
maybe
defending very, very well. Pretty much like since the first attack, none of the following attacks really did a whole lot, and he's really just been throwing away units that would have otherwise gone to like a very, very powerful mid game push with Dragoons.
Yeah, he's kind of like seeing if he can snipe some High Templars popping out or something, but you can't overstay your welcome. Like, if they pre-storm the Scourge from the low ground, then the Corsairs chase micro the Mutalisk back, you're kind of in a lot of trouble as Zerg. So I like that JDConan's not trying to run it down too much with his Air Force at the moment, and kind of just sit back and transfer drones to this top left expansion and play a little bit wide. Tries to go for some Scourge connections here. Only catches 1. Not that ideal. So now these Corsairs will be a bigger threat again in the sky, because JDConan can't afford to keep throwing lava and gas away on Scourge.
I'm getting a little bit worried for Bonyth here, and I think JDConan understands the game state. He knows that he's ahead in economy, and he knows Bonyth threw away a lot of units for not a whole lot. It wasn't really a trade as much as it was a sacrifice. So he's kind of in control of this game at this point, and this mid-game push coming out of Bonyth, it is scary, but it's not as scary as it could be. Oh, these Hydras kind of get caught out, though. This is a good victory for Bonyth, and exactly the type of victory he needs to make this push work.
Yeah, softening up those Hydras is a pretty big deal. Finally, we start to see some Lurkers popping out. He hasn't got a crazy amount of Lurkers, though, just like 3 finished up at the 9. He's morphing some Lurkers in other positions as well. But because Bonyth is being a bit tentative, he's not going to be able to get across the map and punish the fact that the Lurker timing is a little bit behind schedule here. Just going to try and turtle up on these 3 bases and avoid any potential disaster with getting overwhelmed by JDConan. I don't think JDConan minds. I think this game state is fine for Zerg. Yes, his upgrades are late, but his 4th base was in a pretty timely manner, and he made double Evo in his main base to compensate. So we're sitting on 1-1 upgrades currently.
Yeah, Zerg is really going for that late game here. And once the game gets late enough, the upgrade timing stops mattering when you're all at 3-3 anyway. But it seems like these Mutalisks are actually going to come in here and try to get some High Templar snipes. He gets 1, but only 1 before all of them get finished off. Now I'm suddenly starting to get worried, because I feel like JDConan might have been bleeding too many units before this attack. And he doesn't have
Yeah.
a whole lot of space to work with either.
If he could snipe both of these observers, that would be huge, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that. This is starting to get a little bit scary as Bonyth starts to lay siege to JDConan. It's a decent amount of meat on the bone for him to have to chew through. Hydras coming down from the 9 o'clock to start wrapping around. There's also some Hydras on the eastern flank that are going to start coming in. But already there's a little small Zealot reinforcement train that are intercepting the Lurkers coming down from the north as well. If he's got just a couple more storms, might be able to clean this up. Now the Lurkers are in position. I feel like JDConan might just barely kill enough of this army to be okay.
Yeah, he sacrificed a lot of Lurkers just now, and the Protoss army is still looking scary. I mean, Zerg has bled a lot of units to try and defend here, and I feel like if Bonyth had one round of reinforcements, he could almost finish this game here, but it doesn't look like reinforcements are coming, and the Zerg might be able to survive the light of day.
Yeah, it seems like Bonyth is just going to try and double expand to the 12 o'clock now. There's actually some units from JDConan making their way up there to see if they can force a cancellation on that base, but there's a Zealot to slow things down and give him plenty of time to respond to this. But now JDConan knows about the game plan of Bonyth. And this game is much more normalized. Like before, I would say there was a slight edge to JDConan. Now, actually, I don't think so. I think this game is a lot more even. He's actually getting a few Corsair kills up here in the top left, which is nice for the Zerg. But yeah, I think if Bonyth gets this 4th base on, suddenly the onus is going to be back onto JDConan to start making some plays.
Yeah, I think that attack went amazing for Bonyth there. He landed a couple really good storms, and he basically forced JDConan to play really aggressively with Lurkers. And generally, like, okay, it looks cool when you move your Lurkers to the middle of the Protoss like army and then burrow them on top of it. But those Lurkers are very vulnerable in that state, and they take a lot of damage, and a lot of them actually died in that attack. So that really sort of took the wind out of the sails for JDConan's momentum here, and he was sort of back on the defensive.
Yeah, it does look like it, and this army's a little bit scary. He hasn't got that many Lurkers back at home. 4 finished up, 3 on the way. Should be enough for Bonyth to put some pressure on this. He's actually trying to creep out with some Sunkens towards that rally point location just to try and consolidate against this timing here from Bonyth. And those 3 Lurkers not yet popping out. They're just now starting to finish. Needs to get them spread and burrowed in a heartbeat. Tries to see if he can stop the Protoss in his tracks from doing too much damage, and a couple of good storms though is all the Protoss is really looking for here. You're not actually trying to commit to an attack, you're just trying to skirmish with the Zerg and trade off units and then pull back for more energy on those High Templars. And he's got the 4 base set up now as well, so there's no real urgency for Bonyth trying to break him just yet.
Yeah, I think at this point, Bonyth is just fighting for map control and seeing if he can pick things off. There was like a small group of Hydras really clumped up together in that last fight, but he couldn't manage to get the High Templar into position to storm. Now he's going to try and come up into this base, but the Lurkers are well positioned to defend this ramp here. And I think I would be very surprised if Bonyth tried to attack into that. I think his current idea of just sharking around with this army is the way to go.
Yeah, I think just skirmishing with the Zerg and playing whack-a-mole with any additional bases that JDConan tries to pop out is going to be the aim of the game. Like, ideally, Bonyth would like to expand to the top left and split the map in half that way, rather than trying to push vertically to split the map up. And now we have Defilers out for JDConan. That's going to also be a massive tempo shift. Dark Swarm Clouds to shut down the damage from the Dragoons, and eventually Plague as well to start trading very cost efficiently. JDConan trying to double expand down here to the mineral only and the 6 o'clock expansion, but Bonyth doing what he should do, and it's going to come over here and try and shut down these bases.
Yeah, in this matchup, Protoss is usually a little bit more tempo-based. Once Zerg gets its all of its bases set up and we start getting into the really hyper late game, then the game starts to look very different, and it's pretty hard for Protoss to keep up with Zerg on, especially if Zerg, you let them get to like max supply.
Yeah, initially the Zerg wins the late game, but the longer the game goes on into the super late game, it gets closer and closer to even again. But that requires split map and robos all over the place, making Reavers. Bit of a counterattack here from JDConan up at the 12 o'clock expansion. Some Lurkers and Defiler combination here to try and get on top of the economy of the Protoss. And if he's not got enough storms for these Lurkers, he might end up losing quite a few probes if he's not careful. Has got some army moving into position to clean this up, but yeah, JDConan, he did get a lot of his bases squished that he was trying to expand, but he's taken the top left natural, and he's still got that 6 o'clock coming up. So if JDConan can just maintain the game state, pretty soon Plague's going to be online, and he can start going for some massive trades.
Yeah, that was a pretty good little attack there from JDConan. Killing all of the cannons is definitely painful and forcing Bonyth to react, but Bonyth is preparing himself for the late game as well, taking that 5th base on the bottom right corner there. And I think it is well defended with cannons and zealots. So I'm not sure if this... Oh, actually, that's a lot of army. This is a lot of army from Zerg here. You might break through here.
Yeah, the Lurkers on the low ground and the Dark Swarm protecting against the cannons. You kind of need to come down here and reinforce this as soon as possible for the Protoss. He has got his army wrapping around from the left, so he should be able to clean up this force. It's pretty stacked up, but the High Templars are kind of lagging behind. But looks like we finally got Reavers now with a shuttle as well. This is going to help out Bonyth trade a lot more cost efficiently now that he's dealing with the Defiler tech of the Zerg player. So yeah, this attack was like successful in killing the cannons off, but it's not going to accomplish a whole lot.
Yeah, now that we're getting into the late game and Reavers are starting to be built. Wait, JDConan once again trying to come up here, but the Protoss, I think this time around, is a lot more prepared. He has 2 High Templar storming, but I think they ran out of storm now and they're going to morph into an Archon. He just needs to buy time for his other army to get back into position, but it does seem like because the Defiler has been killed, these Lurkers might not be as scary as they otherwise would be.
Yeah, I mean, this is just barely enough Lurkers to kill this Archon and Cannon. Looks like another couple of High Templars making their way up here to the 12 o'clock. More Lings streaming in. Reavers coming to support as well from the shuttle. And it's a counterattack from Bonyth at that newly established mineral-only expansion. But JDConan actually responding very well with his Defilers throwing down Cheeto dust clouds to halt those Dragoons in their tracks. Since most of the Zealots are on defensive duty right now, these Dragoons can't accomplish a whole lot on the front lines.
We're seeing battles happen all over the place. JDConan not giving up his attack on the Protoss 4th base here, but now these 2 Reavers are permanently established. I think that Bonyth is going to trade like extremely efficiently here. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. Once it starts getting to the super late game, like once the map starts to mine out, I feel like it swings back in favor of Protoss just because of how cost effective their units can become.
Yeah, like the start of the late game is Zerg favored, and then the longer the late game goes on, the closer to even it gets again. And it's so hard to break a Protoss, which is just making Reavers all over the place and turtling up. You kind of have to be 1 base ahead of Zerg just to have a chance. So if you do get a perfect split map scenario, that's kind of a win condition here for Protoss. Does look like he is managing to clean up all of these threats from JDConan, but JDConan still eclipsing him in supply ever so slightly with some monstrous macro, and Bonyth only recently just got some probes down to that 3 o'clock to start mining it more efficiently. Definitely looking like a pretty good game for JDConan still with all these additional bases online. If you can keep the pressure on Bonyth and not let him grow too much more than this, I think this is a game that JDConan can win. But if he does let Bonyth expand down into the bottom right, then I think it's going to be a real slog.
Yeah, and it's a slog that I'm not convinced that JDConan can really take, especially given like Bonyth's Reaver control. Like I know usually in this type of situation, Protoss don't really micro the Reaver as hard as they otherwise would, but you still can't count out Bonyth's ability to use Reavers and his game knowledge as well as Pro.
Yeah, JDConan has been bleeding off quite a lot of units, trying to find some cracks in the defensive setup of Bonyth, and hasn't been successful just yet. Now looks like he's rotating his attention around to the 3 o'clock, right as Bonyth goes for a counterattack in that top left natural. Let's see if he can actually break up it. But look, Bonyth is ready. He's got a couple of Reavers set up at that 3 o'clock already, and now he's starting to lean on JDConan. Sometimes you can get a little bit complacent as when you're the aggressor and not be set up well enough back at home. Gets a Plague on those Reavers, which is a pretty big deal, but you need something to actually snipe them. Ling's not usually getting in close enough to clean them up. Sometimes, weirdly enough, you want a couple of Hydras to pop the Reavers, even though it's not the most ideal unit choice.
Yeah, now that the Reavers are sort of moving forward here, it looks like he is going to bust open this position, but not before JDConan comes in with a huge reinforcing army from the back here. He's going to get rid of these Archons and eventually clean up this Protoss army. JDConan has successfully defended this base.
Yeah, he's playing a solid game, man. This is really good stuff from JDConan. And the longer this goes on, the better it gets for JDConan as well, because he just needs to respond to Bonyth when Bonyth tries to take additional bases in the bottom right. Ideally, Bonyth wants to come up here into the top left to kill these bases and then secure them for himself so he can split the map horizontally. But if Bonyth is forced to expand vertically down to the bottom right quadrant, it's actually a lot easier for JDConan to clean that up as well. Looks like some Reaver harassment's going to be coming out from Bonyth, though, to put on the pressure.
Yeah, this is the Reaver control I was talking about here. Bonyth coming in with these 2 Reavers, getting a whole bunch of damage done. He can even snipe the Defiler, which could be pretty big. But yeah, also completely denying mining on this base as well, just being as annoying as possible. Popping those eggs, who knows what was building in that. Forcing JDConan to really try to deal with this and not really taking very efficient engagements. This is exactly how Bonyth wins the late game. It's just by trading more efficiently than the Zerg. You just end up with more money.
Well, right now, JDConan's maxed out. So in theory, if he could hit a select all army button like in StarCraft 2 and get all of his army to attack at the same time, he could probably quite easily win this game. But it's a lot harder when you can only control 12 units at once. Looks like Bonyth going on the aggression down to the southern hemisphere of the map, and actually might help out JDConan. It's going to be a lot easier to surround and engage and clean this army up when the Protoss is kind of doing part of the work for you and exposing himself like this. And there is so much Zerg to come in and engage this as well. Some of the units were plagued earlier, so they're much softer than usual to clean up.
I feel like Bonyth might be starting to overextend himself here. This army is pretty small, and I think if JDConan can get all of his forces together, he will be able to clean this up pretty efficiently. But the hard part is the getting your units together, honestly, at this stage of the game. I don't know if there's a single player who's good at that.
Yeah, it's not easy. You can't even hotkey it all. You basically just have to box select. Sometimes you can set up flanks with the hotkeys and then box select from another angle to try and get it all to synchronize as best as you can. Never is perfect, though. Bonyth has a small contingency still left alive, but it does look like that's about to be gobbled up, and Bonyth is no closer to taking any additional bases while this is all going on. So yeah, this is looking pretty good for JDConan. He's not losing his base down here. He's trading off the army of the Protoss, and he's got a small contingency of forces down in the bottom right, just so that Bonyth can't sneak a probe down there and set that base up undiscovered.
Yeah, these Zealots coming in here trying to get some drone damage done, but they are going to be cleaned up by these Cracklings. Never, ever, ever underestimate the power of Cracklings in the late game here. Especially when your army gets plagued, they're just so much easier to pop than usual.
Yeah, Cracklings are insane, but with Plague especially, they are absolute monstrous. Like, it's kind of hard chewing through the Terran armor, sorry, the Protoss armor, where they got the natural armor and the +3, so your claws don't do quite as optimal damage output, but they absolutely melt shields. So if there's no HP to worry about, they gobble up Protoss forces so damn quickly.
All right, looks like Bonyth is going to try to go for the top left once again. A Plague goes down before the Defiler manages to wiggle away here, and there's so many lurkers in the way for Bonyth. He is going to have to bring up some additional firepower, get those Reavers into position here, but it does look like he's just going to say, nah, F this. I'm going to try and go for some other engagements here. These armies from Bonyth, I feel like they're too small to really be able to take good engagements. Yes, he can take some skirmishes here, but the second JDConan gets his army together, he can deal with these small groups of units pretty easily.
This might work against a weaker Zerg that isn't macroing really well behind this, but against JDConan right now, I mean, yes, this special forces style is still trading pretty efficiently for Bonyth, but he's not growing. Like, the mineral Oni's now mined out. The 12 o'clock will eventually be mined out in a few minutes. This is getting harder and harder for Bonyth to overcome. Like, he's going to be on one base worth of mining in a few minutes. And if he doesn't start taking these bases in the bottom right, he's just going to fizzle out of the game.
Yeah, I feel like Bonyth might be a little bit too tunnel visioned here. He might be missing the forest for the trees. I feel like his real objective right now should be securing the bottom right quadrant there, because you are mining out in all of your bases. And oh no, the shuttle gets sniped by those Hydras. There could have been 2 Reavers in there. That's actually quite huge. And now this army might get wiped out here from JDConan.
Yeah, the other shuttle's so close to going down as well. This is pretty rough for Bonyth. It seems like he's more adamant on just trading with the Zerg and trying to whittle down JDConan to a more manageable force. But even though he's trading okay, it's actually not enough to overcome the odds. And JDConan's getting another fresh mineral Oni base online gradually, so he's going to keep churning out units, and that mineral Oni base will help you make cracklings for days. These are some pretty big Scarab connections on the Defilers, and he takes out the Nidus Canal, taking away some of the unit circulation from JDConan. But it doesn't look like it's still going to amount to much for Bonyth. Eventually, this force is going to get surrounded and engulfed, and he's no step closer to expanding.
Yeah, I actually feel like we might see a 2-0 here from JDConan. Like, the way that Bonyth is playing this game, unfortunately, is too short-sighted. He needs to think about the split map scenario and try to win the game through mining out. But unfortunately, he just doesn't seem to be any step closer to grasping what's actually important in this game, which is securing the bottom right quadrant and making sure that your economy is still going to be afloat in the next 10 minutes.
Unfortunately, Bonyth is like a for-fun gamer. Like, he cares about enjoying the game, and playing that split map turtle style is pretty boring for Protoss, despite being effective. So he's probably not doing it just because he wants to have more fun playing. So I kind of respected that he's going for this more aggressive style, but it does seem like a losing battle.
I can see what you mean here, but I don't know, man. I think what is actually the most fun is winning. I kind of get it, but also, like, at this point, like, he has to recognize that what he's doing just isn't working. He hasn't really made any progress doing these kinds of special forces attacks on trying to break through JDConan's defenses, because pretty much every single time JDConan, like, maybe like lets up some ground, loses a couple units, but every single time he manages to clean up this army by enveloping it from another direction of the map.
Yeah, you just got a monstrous plague currently surrounding this army from all sides is JDConan. Bonyth finally sent a probe down to start thinking about an expansion, but now it might be too late. Another beautiful plague coming out from our Zerg, and the writing is on the wall for Bonyth. Now that he's spent so long trading, he's not going to have a critical mass of army to actually stop JDConan playing whack-a-mole with his own expansion efforts down here in the bottom right.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, Protoss would be taking another gas base at this point, or the other main, but this is really the only base he could realistically defend, and even then, I have serious doubts that he's even going to be able to stop this attack here from JDConan.
Yeah, I mean, he might stop the initial wave, but look on the minimap, there's more and more blue streaming across the map. One thing going for Bonyth is there's not a Defiler with this army getting another plague off, so is trading okay, but not well enough to survive the next few waves that JDConan can send his way. This wave won't kill him, but he's got so much army back at home that he can send over here, and even this small pocket of forces is being somewhat successful at getting on top of this expansion location.
Yeah, the way that JDConan burrowed these lurkers is, like, actually so well spaced that he can't, dislodge it using only storms, and this one lurker, that's all that you need to really apply pressure on this base, is the one lurker constantly attacking it. But in the middle of the map here, JDConan comes to intercept Bonyth's reinforcements. Reavers are out, but the shuttle goes down immediately, and that leaves the Reaver vulnerable, and it goes down as well. These fights are really efficient for Bonyth, but if Bonyth doesn't have any income, he's just going to slowly lose the game.
That's just it. He's on one base mining now, so it doesn't matter if you trade at like a 70% efficiency. It's still not going to be enough to overcome the Zerg, who's got quite a lot of bases still online, and it hasn't even tapped into that mineral only that he's recently acquired as well. So he's even got that to saturate up when one of these bases finally does dry up. It's kind of the advantage of the Zerg with the low drone saturation. You mine out the bases way slower than the Protoss does, so there's usually timing windows where you're way ahead of the Protoss in income and you can start to overwhelm them. We're starting to see that manifest itself in real time. Just as Bonyth gets some probes finally to an additional base, he's gonna get overrun by JDConan. He GG's, he taps out, and JDConan punches the sky in celebration. He's so pleased with himself that he's been able to 2-0 Bonyth here, and he is going through to the round of 8, first in the group.
Wow, that was an amazing victory from JDConan here. You saw how excited he was. I mean, it's definitely no small feat beating Bonyth. That, like,
Right.
he's one of the best foreigner players right now, but JDConan really proving himself here, proving that he should be counted among the big leagues.
Yeah, no, he's definitely someone to keep your eye on. He's a young guy that's gotten very good in a very short period of time, and that trend could still continue. He could be getting better and better as the years tick on and be one of the best Zergs outside of Korea if he maintains this trajectory. It's very possible.
Yeah, we're all excited to watch his career play out here. Who knows? Maybe he could be the next person to try his luck at getting into ASL. I'm sure that would be amazing for anyone to bear witness to here. Yeah, I mean, congrats to JDConan. Up next, I think we're going to be going into the lower bracket. Now that Napoleon is here, we're going to see him face off against 5.
Yeah, and G5 could be a little bit tilted as well after that game he lost on Silphid with the Ling run by and just saying Zerg about GGing. But we're going to have to wait a little bit until we discover what's going to happen between G5 and Napoleon. We're going to be going to a little bit of a commercial break here, guys. So run to the bathroom, grab some fruit, grab some water, whatever you're going to do, and come and join us here for the IPSL round of 16 Group B losers match between G5 and Napoleon. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, welcome back to the IPSL round of 16 Group B. Going to be joining us with that losers match in just a few moments. But before we get started, got a bit of a message from our first winner today. JDConan doesn't speak a whole lot of English, but we managed to get a couple of sentences out of him that have been translated. He would like to tell you guys that he's never beaten Bonyth, especially in the late game, and I've never won a best of 3 series against him. I'm excited. I think I've improved, and I'm happy. I want to reach the finals and win the tournament. This is the first step, with a smiley face.
Wow, I mean, I absolutely understand his excitement there. Like, especially if this is the first time you've ever beaten Bonyth, and he did it live in IPSL. That is definitely hype for sure.
Yeah, that's got to be a major boost of confidence to him going forward, and a good benchmark for his improvement actually coming to fruition and seeing the fruits of his labor in real time, and keep him feeling like it's worth to keep pushing and go for it and become a better and better gamer as the months and years tick by.
hmm we're all very excited to watch his career unfold. He does seem to be aiming for that number 1 spot in this year's IPSL. And honestly, if he can beat Bonneth, I think he can also beat DeWalt. Although I think DeWalt's PVZ personally is, might be a step above Bonneth.
Yeah, I think so. Overall, especially his macro game and decision making is a little bit better than Bonyth. But yeah, we'll have to talk about that another time, because it does look like we're getting all ready here to start our next series off here in the losers match. G5 and Napoleon ready in the lobby. First map going to be Octagon. Looking forward to this one. And both players are ready. So we're going to jump straight on into it, guys. Round of 16, game number 1 in Group B, G5 versus Napoleon on Octagon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the missing players spawning on the bottom left-hand side of Octagon. We have Napoleon.
And his opponent up here in the top right, cross map on Protoss, G5.
Now, I know Rev is supposed to be like an amateur team or something in StarCraft. But I think it is kind of funny that Napoleon is part of Team Rev, because that just makes me think of Revolution, like the French Revolution, you know?
Yeah. Maybe he picked that team just for that reason. Who knows?
Yeah, it really works out. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does suit his idea. Yeah, and a bit of a Napoleon complex with showing up late to the event, although it does seem to be just a misunderstanding with time zones and what the actual start time was going to be. So he's here now. He's here in the losers match. Can he claw his way back right out against G5?
Well, I think with the amount that G5, how unhappy G5 was from that last game, I think Napoleon certainly has a chance. Even though it's like he's considered to be probably the weakest player in this group. But if Napoleon plays a really good game and G5 plays a bad game, like for their level, he definitely can eke out a victory.
Yeah, and G5 has said not too long ago that he's not been playing super hot lately. You saw him tilt a bit against JDConan earlier, early game on Sylphid. Definitely possible that even though overall G5 a slightly more accomplished and better player all around, but he's not feeling it and not playing his best game. Certainly Napoleon could snag victory. We got some pro harass stopping a hatchery being planted down here, and a pylon block yet again from G5, like we saw against JDConan on that first game on Sylphid. This time around, Napoleon rotating that drone to the 9 o'clock to just plop it there instead.
Yeah, this is a stark contrast to what we saw from JDConan. JDConan absolutely tunnel visioned on trying to get that base down, but G5 didn't let him have it easily. Yeah, Napoleon at this point just accepts. He's just like, yeah, G5 is probably good enough to block that forever. I'm just gonna go up to the third base and have him waste money on that pylon, because I do think at the end of the day, it is worse for Protoss to do that than it is for Zerg. Like if you talk purely in terms of money. But yeah, it is definitely weird for Zerg to like have this sort of backwards 3-base setup.
Oh, this is annoying. He tried to hide the drone behind the mineral lines, but G5 checked and threw down a pylon to block this hatchery yet again. Oh, bit of a mistake. He forgot that the Ling was running into G5's base on move command, so loses that for free as well while he's busy back at home. Getting rid of this pylon to throw down the hatchery at a somewhat reasonable timing. Already a bit of successful harassment from G5, maybe getting a little bit into the head of Napoleon going forward, and he's got the probe scout inside the main base for around about the time you'd want to plop down a Hydra Den for a 973.
Yeah, this is definitely a good little victory here from G5, able to get the full scout of the Zerg's main and see exactly how many drones and how many Lings he is making. This should make him feel relatively safe to just expand and not build cannons, and he just won't die like kind of did in game number 1.
Yeah, and is going to be starting that lair. Theoretically, you could cancel the lair and throw down a den after the probe leaves the base, but it's not optimal to say the least, and the den would be a lot later than you would ideally want it to be as well, and it's cross map. So with all of those factors considered, a Hydra bust a bit outside of the realms of possibilities here, and yeah, G5's gonna most likely get into a pretty comfortable macro game as a result.
I don't exactly expect Napoleon to try to go for the same style of play as JDConan did in that last game. But I do see him try to go for some kind of 6-base hatchery play. I think that is the style of game that he is the most comfortable with. But I sort of fear that because this is such like a standard way to play, it's definitely not going to catch G5 off guard. Sure, and I think that's something that G5 might be weak against.
Well, he did just catch the scouting probe, which is great. We got something else moving down to this third base. A Zealot this time around to put some pressure on. Ling's slightly out of position. Might be able to force a little bit of lost mining time here, and then tuck behind the minerals as an afterthought. So it's a small win here from G5. He's getting good scouting information as well. Like, he knows for sure that the lair wasn't cancelled and there was a sneaky den being made by how many drones are at this third base. So getting some lost mining time and confirmation scout is always a feel-good moment for Protoss.
Yeah, and Napoleon showing off his micro there, doing a little bit of Ling rotation, trying to save as many Lings as he can. It's always annoying when the Protoss goes behind the minerals and forces you to fight only 1 or 2 Lings at a time against the Zealot. But Napoleon manages to clean it up and go into a pretty comfortable mid-game here, and I think G5 is responding by playing relatively standard as well.
And here we see some of that weirdness from Napoleon. He's got a Hydra Den and an Evo chamber, a Spire in the main base. That's not the usual timings for the Hydra Den, so it's definitely a little bit different approach to the game. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get aggressive and go for like a 4-hatch Hydra pre-storm timing necessarily, but definitely a bit different to go for a very early Hydra Den here, especially when it's not really a cross-teching timing.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder what exactly he has in store here. Is he going to try to make G5 guess whether or not he's going Muta or Hydra, or is he going to pull something a little weird?
Well, he actually kills the Corsair. That's massive.
That actually might be the reason why he got the Spire so early, so he can get the Corsair to catch. Normally, as a Protoss player, you'd expect to be able to get a full scout with your Corsairs before the Scourge pop. So this is actually quite big for Napoleon. G5 is playing totally blind.
I think that G5 slowed down his Corsair timing to squeeze out an earlier second gateway. So that's why the Corsair was so late. And when you're doing the cross-teching style, you usually make the Den after the Spire. Whereas he made the Den and then the Spire, which is definitely a bit of a different thought process. But yeah, still technically a cross-teching style. So he could go for a pre-storm timing with a Hydra Burst, He has got the Hydra upgrades really early because of how early that den was, and has got a lot of forces already starting to encroach on this natural expansion location of G5. Sends in a Ling to see how many cannons are made and sees that this is quite a brittle setup that he might be able to exploit.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of defenses here, but G5 does have a lot of units, and these speed zealots are going to move out here and try to fight this army. I don't know if that's necessarily smart to do from G5 because you kind of need these zealots at home, but they are delaying the attack a little bit, buying him some time to put up more cannons.
Yeah, G5 was trying to do like an almost mini-esque build with like a really fast setup leg timing to put on some pressure, but what Napoleon's going for is actually really good against this style from G5, and now he doesn't have a lot of slowdown left, and is already on top of these cannons before they can finish warping in. Rice Hat, G5 could just be dead already here. Last remaining cannon gets broken just as these other cannons start to warp in. They're going to get popped as well. G5 might be tilting a little bit in his chair because this is a pretty devastating string of events that he's having against Zerg to kick things off. One thing going for him, though, is that he has got this Dark Templar popping out, and there's no Overlords here just yet. So he kills a few probes and now is out having to evacuate to try and see if he can get an Overlord up to the front lines to keep this assault going.
Yeah, the micro from the Corsairs was absolutely crucial. But at this point, Napoleon might just have too many Hydras for G5 to deal with. Yes, he has 2 Dark Templar that are practically invisible and invincible. But, okay, he actually does manage to repel it, especially with the 3rd DT out. But the Overlord from downtown actually popping in and allowing him to continue the fight here. I think at this point, Napoleon has just won the game.
Ooh, kills the 3rd Dark Templar in the nick of time. There is another one that just popped out, but just one single Dark Templar doesn't chew through these Hydras as quickly as 3, so can still get on top of the probes a little bit. There's hardly anything mining in the natural expansion. Good job, GG from G5. Little bit of good manners coming out of him finally. But the series is not over. Still got some more games to play. Maybe G5 can turn it around.
I have to say I'm very surprised at how that game ended up turning out. I mean, I I understand so that build definitely caught G5 off guard, but I think the way he executed that defense is you're supposed to body block with the probes and you're supposed to make sure you keep your zealots alive to body block essentially, right? Because the cannons are very, very weak. If the Hydras get on top of the cannons, you're just dead. It doesn't matter how many cannons you have. Cannons are weak and they take a long time to build, so you need to buy time and get into the way of the Hydras before they're able to get on top of your defense.
Yeah, it seems that G5 is a little bit tilted, saying stuff like all in Zerg after all in Zerg kind of thing. Is what it is, I guess. But yeah, he should have done a better job of counteracting that Hydra play. Might have been smarter to keep the Zealots out in front of the wall and at least have one cannon kind of firing a bit while holding the line to give you a bit more extra DPS output in that engagement while the additional cannons come down. It's just a bit of a shame that he didn't try and scout that build coming out. Maybe could have sent out a probe or a zealot earlier on to identify that timing. And yeah, G5 is confirming that he's just pissed about these PvZ games.
Yeah, we're seeing him crash out a little bit in the chat here. Hopefully, he can sort of reset and get his mind out of the tilt trenches. I don't know. Like sometimes your brain gets a little bit stuck and you need a little bit of time to reset. Usually at that point, a lot of players would ask for a bathroom break, but no, we're just going straight into it. Coming up next is game number 2, spawning on the bottom left of match point. It is Napoleon.
And his opponent, can he keep it together in the top right? Down 1-0 in the series, G5.
But yeah, as I was saying, a lot of pros at this point would ask for some kind of bathroom break to sort of reset their mind. But it looks like G5 has some different ideas in store. This is a super early probe coming out into the middle of the map. I think he's going to go for 9-9 gate.
Something like that, yeah. I wonder where he's going to make them as well. He definitely wants to turn it around on the Zerg and have some fun by being the aggressor himself. Let's see if he makes these in the natural.
I think I know what he's gonna do. He's gonna come in here and he's gonna block this off. He's gonna wall it off.
Ooh,
oh my
okay.
god, I've seen this before. I've seen this before, but when I've seen it is like a low level like D rank game.
Yeah.
This will be the first time I've seen someone of this high level try to execute something like this.
Oh, this is crazy. And yeah, looks like he's got 8 probes as well, not even 9. So this is going to be an 8 gate from G5. He's gonna
wall it off. No, I'm telling you, he's gonna block
Wow.
off this section. He's gonna make cannons, and he's going to contain the Zerg on one base. This is a specific to match point build, and it is disgusting.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I thought he was going to throw down some gates, but no, okay, I guess this works too if it's a good wall in. Oh my days, right?
It does look ling tight. I think Forge below gate is a ling tight wall. So Napoleon's
Drone
gonna come up here and he's gonna be. I wish there were player cams, man. Where are the player cams to see Napoleon's reaction to this?
Oh god, and the drone's not even in range of the cannon either. There's nothing you can do about this at all.
Did G5 pick the? What? Kid at door? I don't believe. Do you believe him? I don't believe him.
G5's the kid at his door right now.
You know what he's actually doing? He like paused and then he like went straight to like his like S rank friend and he's like, "This is the situation. What do I do?"
That would be so funny. Oh my gosh. What can you even do in this situation? Like, I don't even know. Doesn't seem good.
I actually have no idea how you're supposed to. I think the only response you have as Zerg is you either try to bust it with
Sunken
early Hydras or Sunkens, or you just go straight into Mutas and try to catch the Protoss. But you know, the actual way you beat this is you prevent it from going.
That seems like the best case scenario, yeah, to prevent it. But I'm sure pro gamers would have a response to this, either a one hatchery spire right away, or maybe sunken busting it. Seems like he's going for the sunken bust attempt. Maybe he can build a creep up here and help push this back.
Oh my god, Aaron just reminded me of when it was that I saw this happen, and it was Aaron playing another like D rank player. I watched this happen to Aaron of all people. And it did work.
Yeah.
He had no idea how to deal with it.
I actually haven't seen this before, genuinely. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised by it myself.
We're seeing some new stuff here. This is exciting.
This is spicy, man. Yeah, this is different, and maybe getting G5 to tilt is what you want, so that he's forced to pull out some of this spiciness.
Yeah, at this point, as Zerg, it's just so hard to deal with. Now he's even forced to make Lings to deal with these Zealots. Like, you're already on one base. Like, you cannot afford to be spending money on Lings instead of, like, actual, like, drones.
Yeah, he has got a safety sunken coming up here. Oh, good catch on the Zealot. Can he get it full surround on it? Doesn't actually finish off that Zealot, but it is very low on HP now. Does he get another creep colony set up towards this wall to gradually pick off this pylon gateway forge combination?
But look at what's happening behind this. Oh my god, that
forward.
Cannons have such huge range. It is actually insane.
Yeah. He's got to put it one hex to the right. And that's actually... he could have put it up one and to the left one. It would have been better, but it's okay. That's still okay. It just doesn't reach the forge, though, I don't think.
But anyways, yeah, as I was saying, behind this, G5 is, in fact, expanding. He feels totally safe to expand from this position. The only thing he really needs to be careful of is getting this base busted when your opponent starts getting Hydras. Or mutas, essentially. But it seems like with the sunken out, this is going to be the way he try and deal with it.
One thing that's smart about building a sunken slightly further back is that the Zealots can't pick it off while still being partially covered by the cannon, if you know what I mean. Like, so sometimes it's actually good to put the sunken back like this. Just wanted to point out.
Isn't there a bug where you can make sunkens like have crazy amount of range?
Yeah, you just spam shift right click on buildings and you can sometimes get them to shoot further, yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, what just happened? Why did G5 cancel all that?
No idea. I guess because he thinks he's going to get busted either way, might as well just let it happen.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he's building up his defense back at home.
Wants
He's
more
just
money
going
back
to come
home,
away
yeah.
from this with a huge advantage.
Seems like it, doesn't it? Unless there's a spire being made or something. Yeah, there's a spire. Okay. He has a spire. He has 2 hatcheries production. Maybe he can overwhelm G5 because like these cannons are at the front. They're not in the mineral lines. So if he can squeeze out a few Mutalisks here, I can see Napoleon slowly clawing his way back.
It's definitely going to be an uphill battle. The Protoss is actually up a base compared to Zerg, which is the opposite of normal, right? Like usually the Zerg is ahead in base.
He has to remake the forged Rice Hat. He can't even start the cannons in his mineral line right now.
Oh, that's true. Napoleon might actually have a timing here with these mutas. Dude, if Napoleon beats G5, I think it's over for him mentally. Like I don't think I would personally ever recover from
He just raises his hands like done, just leaves the computer and just doesn't come back to it for at least a
G5
day.
has to know that mutas are on the way though. Like this is really the only thing Zerg can do from this point. And okay, he does see the muta. Oh my god, but he might be forced to retreat from his base.
Uh-oh.
GG! No, it's not GG! What?
It is GG, Rice Hat. Trust me, it's GG. You can't beat a Zerg in that situation.
Damn. But okay, but he did have cannons building at the natural, right?
Yeah, but
like
it's not good enough. All of his tech is exposed in the main, right? Like you lose the Stargate, you lose the core, you lose too much.
oh,
And
right, yeah.
by the time you stabilize the natural, suddenly the Zerg's got another base. They got 3 hatchery production, and you're like barely squeezing stuff out on one base in the natural. It's just not good.
Mhm. Well, I'm actually very surprised at the outcome of that game because I feel like that's the only thing Zerg can do is go muta. If Zerg is on one base, that's the only unit that is efficient, essentially, right?
Mm.
So I'm a little bit surprised G5 didn't answer this, but it might just be he's mentally shaken up. I think if he took a little bit of a break, reset his mind, he could have played this game a little bit better.
Yeah, maybe. He definitely was way too tilted to think straight. It was a nice strategy, but I don't think it works at a competitive level. Otherwise, you would see like pro players throw that build out more often, right? Like if it was actually good, it's something that like just frustrates someone that's not thinking clearly.
I feel like if he just had a cannon in his main, like what can Napoleon do?
Yeah, how does he
I don't
afford
know.
it? How does he start the cannon? I guess he could just not try making the pylon and the cannons again in the choke and just abandon it and start a
Yeah,
cannon at
and
each base. But
honestly,
even
he could
then,
also even just cut probes. I mean, like you're at that
yeah,
point, you're just
yeah,
so far ahead of the Zerg. You don't actually need to optimize for economy.
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. He could have maybe found some corners to cut to be more defensive against the muta timing for sure. But it's still
But
not
okay,
ideal because, like,
yeah.
you might survive the initial 4 mutas, but they will get to 6 mutas probably before you get 2 cannons up at each base mineral line. So eventually, they should be able to overrun you. You're going to have 1 cannon and 1 corsair at both bases. It's just not enough against 6 mutas.
I don't know if I'm convinced that you can beat it so easily as Zerg. I feel like once the contain is up, like you're just gonna be on one base for so long. First of all, it's like a muta all in. You can't actually
Mm.
it's gonna be very difficult to transition out of it. And I think if Protoss like plays like optimally, like they'll have 2 cannons at the mineral line. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not so
I think it
sure,
was
but
just a misplay,
we
in
can
my
agree to
opinion.
disagree. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sure there is a way that he could have found cut some corners to get more cannons up. Yeah.
But it's a little bit unfortunate for G5. I do think PVZ is his weakest matchup, and he does seem a he did it did seem like he got tilted game number 1, and it was just kind of all from there.
Happens to the best of us. Looks like Bonyth is going to need a little bit of a break before we get started with our final game set of the evening, guys. So we're going to go to a little bit of a commercial break, run to the bathroom, grab some water, grab some fruit, whatever you're going to do, and join us for the final match here in the Group B round of 16 IPSL, Bonyth versus Napoleon. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, and welcome back to the IPSL round of 16 Group B. Going to be waiting just a little bit longer here for that final match. Bonyth not quite returned just yet. Hopefully he'll be here shortly. But Rice Hat, what a crazy game that was on match point, man. And such a spicy build. I've literally never seen that before. Apparently you were saying that this is something that G5 was doing back in the day, like 2010 kind of era.
Yeah, or at least that's what chat was saying. Like this is a
Okay.
known G5 build on match point, and back when match point was circulating the ladder pool. Um, but I don't know, might be a little bit rusty playing that playing that matchup again. So not quite
Yeah.
executing it as well as he could have, I think. But also like, yeah, me and Shun had a little bit of a disagreement where we were talking about like how whether or not this could work at like the pro level. Um, but it is true that like we haven't seen any pros do it, so it might not. It might have like a falling off point.
Yeah. And more importantly, we've not seen any pros check for it. If it was like a 1% chance that this could be a build, like they'd be checking for it, right? But
Yeah.
I also agree with you that probably G5 also misplayed it a little bit and didn't optimize his cannon timings back at home and what have you. So I think both things can be true.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate of an unfortunate end for G5, but that also means that Napoleon he's back in the game.
Yeah, yeah. He gave a walkover to start things off just because he miscalculated the start time of the event, and now he's beating G5. But he is up against Bonyth, probably the most scariest opponent for him out of everyone. But we had a little bit of a surprising result with JDConan playing fantastically well against Bonyth. Maybe Napoleon can do it too. Who knows?
Mhm.
Maybe Bonyth's having a bad day today.
The only thing is I cannot imagine Bonneth being as tilted 5. It just
No,
seems like
no.
Bonneth is always cool as a cucumber whenever
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter what situation he's in. He's just always like, "Yeah, I'm just playing for fun, whatever. I'll just build Reavers." Like, he's fine.
Yeah, he's a very nonchalant player. It doesn't usually get to him no matter what happens. Even when he wins, he's not too plussed about it, right? He's kind of very neutral no matter what's happening. Definitely won't be psyched out like G5 was going into this game, for sure. But he could
Yeah.
be having a bad day, he could be having a migraine or something, something's not quite allowing him to play at 100% power level or what have you.
Yeah, there's a million different factors that could affect how a player plays on any given day. I mean, if he's having a migraine, then definitely that could affect his decision making. You can't really go make 500 decisions a second like other players
Apparently, Bonyth took a nap as well. He's definitely entering old man territory, taking a little siesta between games. That's crazy. I don't think I could trust myself to have a nap between games. I'd be
in
worried
the
my
middle
alarm
of
would
a
even wake me up
tournament.
again. Yeah, that's crazy to me. Like, I would not trust my alarm to wake me up from a nap if I just randomly went to sleep during the day.
Dude, I don't even know if I can trust myself to wake up, like, like, if I'm in my bed to just come like, be able to get out of bed in time. Like, I don't know. Like, it's wow, he took a nap.
I mean, maybe he took like a spaceman nap where he just kind of like slumped in his chair and just closed his eyes. Maybe he napped in his computer chair. I mean, almost looks like he's napping when he's playing. He's so fast down slumped in his computer chair, right?
I've seen, pros go for that chocolate bar between games and between series. I've never heard of them take a nap. That almost feels like the opposite, like
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
know some power naps can, like, re-energize you, but I feel like anytime I take a nap, like, I just get more tired after.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm the same. If I have any amount of sleep, I am way more groggy. Like my body just doesn't want to continue functioning. Maybe it just depends on who you are. Maybe some people respond better to naps than others. But yeah, I'm like you. If I take any amount of sleep, I'm not feeling awake in any sense of the word afterwards.
This could be, Napoleon's chance. I mean, like, if Bonneth is really tired and takes a nap mid-tournament and now he's even more tired, I think that's the way Napoleon gets out of this group.
Mm. Maybe it's like you have to nap often for it to work. Like if you like take a random nap and you don't usually nap, maybe that's why we react like that. Whereas maybe Bonyth like takes little siestas every day, so it actually does re-energize you. Who knows?
That's true. That's true. Maybe his circadian rhythm is already built this into his system, where
Right.
this is it's nap time now. If you don't take a nap right now, you're gonna be tired later. But if you do, then we'll go back to normal.
Yeah, and there's some cultures that swear by that middle of the day nap, right? So maybe it's
Yeah, like
something you have to do
Spanish
regularly.
people, they have their
Yeah, yeah,
siestas.
right.
I
Yeah, I'm
think that's like
curious
built into their it's built into like their culture too. Like it's like,
for
yeah,
sure.
everyone has a siesta all the time. Like obviously we give you 2 hours break from work to have your siesta.
It's kind of crazy to think about. I can't imagine napping in the middle of the day, but maybe as I get older, I'll start having to do it. I don't know.
I've definitely felt the need to start napping in the middle of the day. I don't know. Sometimes when after I finish my lunch, I just like can't stop myself from falling asleep at my desk.
Yeah, you're in that rest and digest mode. Yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
get that after eating.
All
I'm
right.
worried about like going to sleep and then completely ruining my sleeping pattern. Like I don't wake up from the nap
I think,
again, you know?
I think that definitely happens sometimes. But all right, it looks like both players are in fact ready to go. We're just kind of waiting for some. We have a little bit of technical difficulties for the setting up the player cams. I know. I mean, I like looking at the player cams, so it's definitely something worth waiting for.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it does look like both players are technically ready, but for some reason, we don't actually see Bonyth's cam. So Arn's going to go and check the back end there and see what's going on. There's always some kind of delay, right? Right. So,
Yeah, it's always some random thing going wrong. It's
mm-hmm.
we can never have a smooth cast. It always has to be Aaron running around like putting out some fire.
I just got this funny mental image of him just panicking with a fire extinguisher, tripping over himself.
Yeah. I mean, if you ask him what it's like to run a tournament, I feel like that's the exact answer he's gonna give you.
Well, the one thing going for him is that he's not actually casting and running the tournament at the same time. So I'm sure there's a bit of sigh of relief there. And kind of got the
Yeah,
same
he
setup they
can
do
put
at the
out his
BSL.
fire in peace. Go put out the
Yeah.
fire, firefighter.
Yeah, you don't have to spin the plates and put out the fire at the same time. So
Yeah.
that's something.
I really hope we get those player cams though. Apparently, he
Okay.
somehow ended up in the casting desk with us, so that's kind of
Okay.
funny.
Well, there's definitely some weirdness, some glitch in the matrix, but I think we're all ready and set up. I hope you guys are too. Now, in the final match in the IPSL round of 16, Group B, Bonyth versus Napoleon on Octagon. Let's get this show on the road, guys.
All right, spawning on the bottom left here of Octagon, we have our legendary Protoss player from Poland. It is Bonyth.
And up here in the top right, I think he's from Finland, Napoleon. It is
Finland's
Finland,
got
right?
some good players.
Yeah, they do have a few good gamers, actually. Finland's always had like some pretty top level gamers. I see like Poland, as far as StarCraft is concerned, I think Poland's like the Korea of Europe, but Finland in general has always had pretty top level gamers across the whole gaming community.
Does seem like, for whatever reason, and I think I know what the reason is, Scandinavia just produces amazing gamers.
It's in their culture, man.
Yeah. And
No, for sure.
I think the reason is because it's so cold and depressing there. Like if people just like huddled up inside all the time. They have nothing to do but play video games.
Yeah, maybe. It's definitely in the culture as well. So like, you know, if you're hanging out at college, like everyone's playing games. So kind of like in Korea, where like every internet cafe or PC bang, as they called it, had StarCraft installed on all the computers, and it's kind of hard to get away from it if it's that deeply embedded into the culture and the community. So you get exposed to it.
But all right, I mean, I can't wait to see this some of this Finnish power here. Try to see what he can pull out against Bonyth here, because Bonyth is definitely the favorite. I know we were talking about like, oh, okay, if Bonyth is having a bad day, if Bonyth is this and this and that, right? Like, then maybe Napoleon can eke out a victory. But honestly, like, I don't think I've ever really seen Bonyth tilt. And
He
it
doesn't
just
tilt.
kind of seems like he plays for fun, which is like kind of the scariest type of player to play against.
Yeah, no, he definitely doesn't tilt. He is a for fun gamer, but he does have, you know, the occasional migraine or something that kind of zaps his ability to play to the best that he can. This time around, we've got a gateway expand from Bonyth, scouting in the wrong direction currently, and hatchery first from Napoleon. So that cross map going to be helping out the build order advantage a little bit here for Napoleon as well. The Ling should be popping out just as the Zealot arrives to that mineral line.
And Napoleon is going to need every advantage he gets. And honestly, though, if we see him play like something like weirdly aggressive, like we saw him pull out against G5, that might actually catch Bonyth off guard. I'm actually fairly impressed at like the level of like at the kind of like build that he's been pulling out, where it just like the timing is like a little bit off, but just right, and it like really confuses your opponent and might make them react poorly.
This has got to be a mistake from Napoleon. I think he forgot to send out a drone to expand. It looks like it is making its way now to the 3 o'clock, but it's a few seconds behind schedule as well. Let's see if this Zealot pressure will amount to much here from Bonyth, because if you only make like, you know, 4 or so Zerglings, you can just find yourself in a world of hurt. He doesn't know that this is a gateway expand from Bonyth, don't forget. So yeah, he might get caught off guard chasing this probe around with 4 Lings, and suddenly 2 Zealots come into your natural. Hopefully he has made an additional pair of Zerglings.
Yeah, he was playing a little bit blind here, and maybe he assumed his opponent was going to go Forge Fast Expand, because getting 3 bases really quick is normally, like 3 bases really quick off of 4 Lings is normally something you only do if your opponent is going Forge. So these 2 Zealots might actually end up doing a lot of damage. You're going to actually come in here and go between the mineral line and the Zerg spawning pool, which it's a bit of an anti-SimCity here from Napoleon.
It is. It definitely is exploitable here. Finally getting more Zerglings out to try and chase these Zealots back from doing too much damage to that spawning pool that's currently sitting at just under half HP. And the probe is super annoying because the probe can actually hit the drones over those mineral patches as well. So this is a setup that Napoleon has to respond to eventually, but he actually was chasing a Zealot in the natural while getting so he's getting a little bit distracted trying to clean up 2 different Zealot forces at the moment.
Right, the probe using return cargo to kind of slip out of there. And Napoleon is building so many Lings in response to this. I feel like he's going to go into the mid game quite far behind, because he's building so many Lings to deal with 2 Zealots essentially.
Yeah, this is what happens all the time, right? Like you misread the start of a game, you get overwhelmed by the initial pressure, and then you over defend against the pressure, and then you're suddenly further behind than you should be. Oh, no. Actually catches a drone. That's pretty huge for Bonyth. It's still going to be this 3 base Spire play from Napoleon, but he's got hardly any drones because of how many Speedlings he's made.
Yeah, this is a pretty bad start from Napoleon here. And Bonyth even running circles around the Speedlings with his scouting probe here, finally going to go down. Yeah, Bonyth should know exactly how many Lings are sort of coming across the map here. Attitude is a little bit weird in how the wall works, and how like there's a lot of like unbuildable terrain outside and around the entrance, but it does look like he seems pretty safe just with 1 cannon, which is I think it's kind of risky, but it's paying off for him.
Well, he got good scouting information with the Zealots. It is risky if it was like a full-on Zergling all-in and they just start chomping down your gateway to break through. Like theoretically you can lose the game as Protoss if that happens, but because he did sacrifice quite a few Zealots in the early game, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, and he will get away with it. And he's going to come in here with the Corsair now, Oh, Periscope.
Oh, once again, the Scourge.
Oh. Well, luckily he didn't slow down his Stargate timing as much as G5 did, so actually does manage to get away with it.
Honestly, I think that if Napoleon handled the initial Zealot a little bit better, I think his Scourge might have been on time to just crash straight into the Corsair like it did in his game against G5. But I think he's a little bit shaken from the initial harassment here. It just kind of goes to show the difference in level of play between, Bonyth and G5, that Bonyth was able to do that to Napoleon.
Yeah, the first 6 minutes of any StarCraft game are the most crucial. So if you make a few little tiny errors and don't optimize as best as you can, it really does hurt you against like very top competitive players. And we might be seeing a little bit of that from Napoleon, although he does seem okay. It's just he's really light on drones. Like, look at this natural. He's only got 4 drones on the minerals, and they're not even mining the best patches. So, yeah, a little bit suboptimal to say the least. And he's actually slightly oversaturated at the 3rd, so definitely suboptimal.
Yeah, I guess the drone count in this case is kind of misleading, but not even misleading in the right way. He is actually a lot poorer than he should be, and he should be poor. So we're going to have to see how Napoleon tries to come back from this little bit of a bump here. 5 Zealots are actually out on the map, so Napoleon's going to need to respond to this as well. I do like the idea of trying to fight it in the middle before they can get themselves into like nooks and crannies and become impossible to dislodge. Oh no, 2 Scourge on hold position gets picked off by the Corsairs as well. This this harassment might end up doing a lot of damage.
Oh, okay, he does actually lose the Corsair there. A little bit problematic, but he comes in and catches the Zealot force just in the nick of time with some additional Hydras showing up. So he should actually be okay here. And Bonyth getting a little bit too greedy with the Corsairs to be moving out without being able to one-shot those Scourge. He killed the first pair fine, but then he lost a Corsair to the next pair of Scourge. So that sets him back a little bit. And Napoleon going to be feeling slightly more comfortable than he was a few moments ago.
I feel like Bonyth has, in a way, read Napoleon like a book. Why does he have 4 cannons already completed before he even knew that this was going to happen? Or not necessarily knew, but confirmed that this was going to happen. Napoleon is going to try and bust in here, but the Zealot block has been very, very effective. He can't even get a single cannon here.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with this pre-storm timing from Napoleon. I feel like he should just be picking up the wall and forcing cannons and calling it a day with a soft contain. Let's see if he throws down additional macro. Okay, he just now threw down his additional macro hatchery, going up to 5 total. It did force a lot of cannons, so that's something. It hasn't bled too many Hydras.
Yeah, honestly, I think if he just like didn't commit to the Hydras, he could actually have been quite ahead this game because of the amount of cannons that Bonyth built, right? Like, he didn't build these cannons in response to this attack. He built them predicting this attack in a way.
Yeah, I wonder, man. I wonder if, like, he just lost 2 Overlords, for example. That's going to supply block Napoleon. It also means, like, a DT could come out to shove this back. Oh yeah, we just got a little raid there from Julian. Welcome, Raiders, to the IPSL Group B, round of 16. We're in the final set between Napoleon and Bonyth, game number 1 right now. Napoleon trying to see if he can overrun this cannon setup here from Bonyth. It seems a little bit ambitious to me. I don't think he's got enough firepower to break all the way through, and Bonyth is stabilizing. I feel like he should have just translate this into a normal contain and be macroing back at home, but he did take a bit of damage at the start, made too many lings to defend the pressure, and hasn't got the kind of drone saturation that he would like to, so maybe he feels like he kind of has to do something like this.
Yeah, and I think the attack into this was bungled a little bit because he didn't exactly try to attack the cannons first. I think whenever you can, you have to focus down cannons unless you're getting blocked by the Zealots. But the Zealots are actually moving out here, and I don't think there's enough Hydras to really defend. And the Corsairs are out as well. They're going to supply block Napoleon so hard here. We're down to only like 46 out of 45 supply. And Bonyth is rocketing ahead.
Yeah, like he just doesn't have the economy to keep replacing these Overlords, man. Like, he's already, yeah, he's going to just tap out. That makes sense. GG is called, and Bonyth taking a quick lead in this series, 1-0. It was like pinching his nose and his eyes there. Maybe Bonyth is a little bit tired.
You know, I think he's just waking up still, right? Like if he took a nap, like
yeah.
But
we
yeah,
did have
I
a bit
think,
of a go on.
that build that Napoleon pulled out looked very, very reminiscent to the build that he did in game 1 against G5. And I don't know, I guess if Bonyth had been napping this entire time, you can't really expect him to expect that from you. But it
Right.
really did feel like Bonyth read him like a book, you know?
Yeah, it seemed like he had it dialed in perfectly what was going to be coming out. The pre-storm timing from Napoleon. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board and think up something different. Going to be Sylphid as our game number 2 here between these two gamers. Bonyth did kind of get destroyed by JDConan earlier on in the group. That's why Bonyth is in the final match right now. Napoleon's going to try and do something similar and be able to beat Bonyth in this PvZ matchup, but he's already 1 game behind. Going to be tough for him now, winning 2 games in a row. Looks like both players are ready, guys. We're jumping into it. The final match here in IPSL, round of 16, Group B, Bonyth versus Napoleon, game number 2 on Sylphid.
All right, once again, starting off at the 12 o'clock spawn of Neo Sylphid. Struggling a little bit with the initial drone split. It is Napoleon. Sorry. I was just like, could not like kept my eyes off of that one, of those 2 drones mining that one patch.
Every StarCraft gamer's got OCD when they see stuff like that, right? And in the bottom left, his opponent currently leading the series 1-0, representing Poland. It's Bonyth.
I think sometimes like the worker split just doesn't work if there's like a tiny bit of lag. Like I've noticed sometimes when I try to do a worker split, like if it's lagging a little bit, it just like the commands won't execute.
No, you're not wrong. But also I think that like this 12 o'clock spawn on Sylphid is actually one of the hardest splits for Zerg, because all of your drones like on the top of the hatchery, and it just feels weird. Like you're not used to splitting with the drones on top of the hatchery unless you practice it a lot.
Yeah, that's also true. But regardless, it's a little bit of a suboptimal way to start the game, but it shouldn't affect things too much. But obviously, when you're playing against Bonyth, you kind of want as great of a start as you get.
Yeah. I'm still getting OCD from this drone on the 4th mineral patch from the left, like not vertically mining and kind of going diagonally.
I know what you mean now. Now I can't unsee it.
Hate to see it. And what's crazy is that the pro gamers can like split all 4 of these drones at the top of the hatcheries to like almost perfect alignment as well as the perfect split, which is insane.
Yeah, it's definitely suboptimal, and you can't unsee it once you've already seen it. But yeah, it's not a huge deal, honestly. Like people joke, like, oh, like, you know, D rankers, C rankers, they fuss about worker splits when it really doesn't matter because they're not even making workers. But honestly, we're kind of approaching the level of skill where it actually does matter. This is going to make you like 2% poorer for X amount of time, and that actually makes the difference in a lot of these tight timing.
Right, yeah, as soon as you hit like AS level, you have to be sharper with your mineral optimizations, because like at B level, like everyone kind of knows the builds, they're just not good at executing them. But as soon as you hit like A, everyone's like executing the builds a lot more crisply. And at S, they're hitting the builds crisply, and they're trading and not bleeding units. So every little helps. A little bit of chase micro from this probe, trying to get this drone. Needs a couple more connections, but Ling's intercept to deny that kill from coming online. Nice little save there from Napoleon to stop disaster from occurring.
That probe was hungry too. Like you saw, like even when the 2 Lings showed up, he's still trying to go for it. Like, yeah, that probe had a vengeance.
He's made a lot of Lings, but he's got like 8 Lings already. Is he just going for an all-in Ling build? I think he's going for an all-in Ling build because he's got Ling speed. I wonder if he's going to try and just like mass up Lings and go for it.
The probe is still kind of here trying to scout for anything weird happening. I think 6 Lings being out on the map is already a little bit. But Bonyth actually moving out with 3 Zealots. If Zerg catches these Zealots out in the middle of the map and kills them,
Yeah,
this could be a disaster for Bonyth.
I think that's the game plan. Like he's going to have Ling speed and can potentially surround these 3 Zealots or just go for a run by. Looks like he might even be going for a run by while building Lings back at home.
Could actually be really smart here.
Yeah, he's going to be able to buy time against these 3 Zealots. But Bonyth sniffs a rat. He's going to pull some probes in the nick of time to start plugging up these holes. Try and hold on, but the Forge immediately starts to get targeted. Cannon is on the way, but it's only just now started. Zealot tries to plug the hole, but a few Lings slip in, do get a surround on that Zealot. It's now dangerously low on HP. Another Zealot does pop out, but Bonyth at risk of getting broken here. Luckily, those 3 Zealots are coming back home to defend. 4 Speedlings, though, going to be coming into the main base.
Wow, I did not think Napoleon was going to pull this off, but he does so successfully. And now there are 4 Lings running around in Bonyth's base. I feel like if this was JDConan, these Lings would have already eaten like an entire mineral line, but the micro maybe not quite up to speed. But now the reinforcing Ling's going to try to tear through this forge. The Zealots are back home, and a cannon is being built once again. But I feel like once this forge goes down, things could be looking very dicey for Bonyth.
Oh, he does slip a couple Lings on the top-hand side. Cannon is very close to starting to warp in, though. Forge is going to go down right as the cannon starts to pop. Doesn't fire instantly. Can he slip all these Lings into the main base? He has got a bit of a hold to get through, but not quite good enough. Most of the Lings congested with those blocking probes and Zealots. So actually, Bonyth doing a good job of holding the line thus far.
It's actually really impressive that Bonyth managed to keep that cannon alive. I know it didn't look like Napoleon was trying to get to that cannon, but it was literally like there's so many units in the way and successfully blocking the Lings from getting to the cannon that he managed to finish it successfully.
Yeah, and a little bit of a probe drill here. Tries to see if they can catch one of the Lings, and one of them is very close to dying. And Bonyth very soon will be stabilized against this. There's a macro hatchery, but it's not even placed at an expansion. This is just for a pure Ling flood for the time being. Gonna see if he can overwhelm Bonyth in the natural once more. It's still just one single cannon, but there will be a lot more Zealots online when these Zerglings finally do arrive.
Yeah, the micro from Bonyth, kind of insane. Managing to keep basically every probe alive when there's like a marauding Ling in his base. And now both of the Lings died, I think 2 probes. So Napoleon really only has one more shot here to try and break open this position. He's going to come in with the Lings, try to target out the gateway. Second cannon is being built here, but I think everything is just a little bit too congested, a little bit too well blocked. But the gateway does fall, but not before the probes come to surround the cannon, and I don't think Napoleon really has any cards left to play.
No, that looks about all she wrote, Rice Hat. Bonyth's done it. Really seriously sick hold from him. Came so close to being broken a couple of times, and now he's plugging up the holes again, remaking that gateway. Additional cannons warping in. There's no contingency plan here from Zerg at all. He's going to tap out. GG is called, and Bonyth will be joining us in that round of 8 as the second victor in Group B.
Was honestly an impressive hold from Bonyth. That build really, I feel like it did catch Bonyth off guard for a while. Like he didn't even have a cannon when the Lings were when the Lings arrived at his base, but he just handled that so perfectly. There's like such a clean, like calm way to defend it. He just did everything right. I don't know. I'm just impressed.
Yeah. I mean, there was 2 different ways that Napoleon could have gone about it. He could have targeted the gateway instead of the forge. There's more surface area to do more damage, and also it opens up a bigger hole in the wall, and they don't have additional Zealots being popped out to survive the next skirmishes as more and more Zerglings show up. But he went for the forge option, and it didn't pay off. Maybe he was looking to get us around on that cannon with the 3 Lings in the main base helping out, but Bonyth just handled it too cleanly.
Yeah, and honestly, well done to him. Now that he's won these these two games, beaten Napoleon 2-0. It does mean he makes it out of the group in IPSL. We will be seeing him in the round of 8. I think we're going to try and set up a little bit of a winner's interview here, so on and
Yeah.
all about what happened in this game.
We can ask him about his naps.
True.
And let's figure out what happened with him and JDConan, where he was just kind of, oh, he's here. There he is, the man of the hour,
right.
Bonyth. How are you feeling today?
Okay, I suppose. All things considered, I won, so I'm happy.
Talk us through those games versus JDConan, especially the second game, where you kind of seem like you were a little bit tunnel vision on just wanting to play Special Forces trade rather than try and split the map. Was that because you didn't want to play a boring turtle style? Like, what was the thought process between trying to be more aggressive in that game?
You don't really want to play split maps like from the get-go against Zerg with like, I don't know, about 53 expansions. Split scenarios are fine when, I don't know, Zerg has no more than 3 operational bases or so. But when
Okay.
Zerg has like 6 plus of them, that split is just, process gonna crumble in one place or another.
But you don't think
Okay.
you could have successfully defended all of your edge bases with like Reaver Storm or anything like that?
For like, there's so many expansions to defend, and there is no way to defend all of them. There is also an option like, I don't know, like mineral onlys are just gone, and then there is a chance for a doom drop. Like any sort of play is viable, even like it's a totally different game. But yeah, like there are maps like Vermeer, like Attitude, where the number of bases on the map is just way too big.
Okay. Well, by the way, Bonyth, since you were sleeping, you actually missed a game between G5 and Napoleon, where on match point, G5 did the build where he walled in Napoleon by like literally building a forge and a gateway in his choke point, leading to the natural. Have you seen that build? Like, what do you feel like the contingency play is for the Protoss player, and what do you think the Zerg should do in response to that?
So Napoleon wall, G5 walled.
Yes.
So Protoss walled in Zerg on the other side of the map. There. That's
Yes, correct.
what happened.
With
Yeah.
Forge and Gateway and Cannon, yeah.
I think the Zerg player should go for Hydras and maybe potentially slow drops. Maybe he can just make an elevator and then rush to the other side of the map. That would be also tricky for Protoss to deal with. Like you need to defend that natural Zerg's natural as well as your own base. So that could be potentially also tricky.
Well, the solution that Napoleon went for, he built a hatchery leading towards the wall, made a sunken to push back the pylon and the gateway to kill the wall a bit, and then went for a one base Mutalisk play with 2 hatcheries.
Yeah, that wouldn't be my first choice. Like one gas muta, right?
Yeah.
Basically, a couple of goons. Like as long as the Protoss player doesn't try to expand, a Protoss player should understand that one base versus one base scenario is going to be favorable for him. So as long as
yeah, that's the thing though, is that G5 took an expansion and then had too many points of interest to cover because he couldn't cannon up obviously the main and the natural enough to survive the initial tempo of the mutas.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't even consider the fact that G5 expanded in that last game. But yeah, if he didn't expand and built 2 cannons in his main, like he could just play the rest of this game, the game expanding at the same time as the Zerg.
you just need to tech up to cybernetic core, and then I don't know, like if you're facing mutas, then just goons. It's one base versus one base. Protoss is gonna be okay like that.
So how are you feeling about Yeah, how are you feeling about the rest of the tournament? Obviously, you're a little bit maybe disheartened that you lost the game to JD. He was ecstatic, by the way. He had never said he'd never beaten you before, and he was so happy that he finally got to beat you in a best of three series. Is there anything that's different today about your play? Like, do you feel like you're playing slightly worse than usual, or do you feel like JDConan just played great?
It's hard to judge myself, like too many variables. But I noticed I had red eyes after the game, so I don't know what what does that imply. Well, anyway, first of all, JD Conan played really well,
Mm.
uh, but it also needs to be said that it was a spiky tonight 12. All right, it's it wasn't pleasant at all. The game units are kind of like not moving, and
A little
the
bit of
reaction is so
lag.
poor.
Yeah.
So in the future, I will take that into consideration and pick maps that are more favorable. So let me get this straight. It's not like one race or another has an advantage in such situations. I mean, they do, but it's not like it's either Protoss or Zerg. No. Lags and lag spikes favor uh, a race that goes for more of a camp style. And so
Yeah.
Protoss can also be good at that if he goes for more static defense, I suppose. But yeah, when it comes to like lurkers, sunkens, just it's uh, I don't know. Maybe it's just like me. I like being active on the map, so
Mhm.
I'm like the games felt kind of
Yeah.
unpleasant to me.
Yeah, my reasoning was I felt like you're quite a full fun gamer, and I imagine that the style that you like to play is more proactive and aggressive, so you can actually control something and have fun rather than just sit back and just let the game develop. So that's why I thought you were a bit hesitant to grow and keep expanding and kept running it down.
Yeah, but JD Conan played very, very well. It needs to be said. So it's not like, oh, well, he won due to lag. No, he played like lag or not. Like my build execution should be plus minus the same. Okay, so maybe some storms, maybe some micro would be different, but
Mm,
hey, he defended all that. So he had the units, he had the concave. So yeah,
Mhm.
he played well. I'm not gonna take that away from him.
nice, nice. Well,
Yeah.
talk a little bit about your nap situation. Like, I'm Rice Hat and I are like one of these guys that we feel terrible after a nap. We feel tired. But are you having naps often? Like, are you napping like more or less every day or every other day?
I enjoy naps overall. It's not like I take them frequently every day, once a day, but like very often after work, I may take a nap,
Okay,
half an hour or an hour or so.
nice, nice. How are you feeling about the
So
rest of the tournament? Do you feel like you're a strong favorite to take the whole thing down, or how are you feeling about your ability?
Taking tournaments is never an easy task. Like you you just need to continuously beat players that are strong. Of course, there's a Devout who is probably the one of the strongest candidates now for a couple of months, almost years now. Who else is there? There are many Zergs, so that's never easy for any Protoss.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
of course I aim high, but we'll see how the game uh, will play out like, and who's gonna be my opponent. It's
Okay.
too early to say without even knowing my opponent.
How do you feel about Rhett? Because Rhett got out of his group yesterday in Group A as well. Like, have you played many games against Rhett over the years? Are you that familiar with him?
It's on the contrary. It's like I haven't played any games against him at all.
Oh, okay, okay. That could be interesting then if you end up colliding with him later on in the tournament.
Yeah, like I've like from what I remember, like Red from the past was a ZVP specialist, heavy macro player, lots of drones,
Yeah,
style like that.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
definitely dangerous foe. And as Flash showed us, you can come back and get good really, really fast if you have that in you.
Sure, sure. Any questions, Rosa?
out of all the players in groups C and D, are there any that you're sort of on the lookout for, trying to prepare for any strong players that you're kind of afraid of?
Let's see who do you have. Zero Wars, Julian, Ionzerk. Well, Ionzerk always dangerous because
Mhm.
he's got good mechanics. So, like against good mechanics, you also need to have your mechanics on top, and your decision making needs to be also really good. So, yeah, playing ZVP against all these early game aggression is always puts a lot of pressure on the Protoss, and with
Yeah.
good mechanics, it's even more hard.
Mhm.
Wars, not so much. PvP is gonna be okay. Julian should be okay, although he's not a bad Zerg at all. But he's got his unique style that if something goes wrong for me, for example, in the early game, the game can easily spin out of control. Zero is cool, but I've always had a good win record against him.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, I'm Ion Zerk and maybe Julian for Group C, and then we have Group D with Dragon, Artosis, Dexter, Hawk. Hawk is pretty much dead as for like StarCraft. I don't think he plays the last weeks,
Yeah.
so should be fine. Dexter, I'm not gonna sleep on him. He's up strong. Protoss just as worse is, but well, PvP, so I don't mind. A Dragon, also very top Protoss. I think he's improved lately. So yeah, definitely. If I would get Dragon, I would need to come prepared. And Artosis, in PvT, I think I'm gonna be fine.
I see, I see, I see. Well, thank you for the very detailed descriptions. It does seem like Eon Zerg is the player to look out for in the upcoming groups.
Yeah,
Think we all agree on that?
one more thing, Bonyth. If you are one of the lucky guys that gets Artosis later on in the tournament, if he does get out of his group, can you please do the D-Web style against him? Please, please,
Yeah.
please. Please, man. I don't care if you
That would be
lose,
it.
just
It's
do it.
always tricky against such ambitious and honorable players like Artosis is. It's like from one side it's gonna be fun and cool to so viewers will make fun of him, but on the other side, Artosis is just such a proud gamer. He could take offense by that.
I don't think he'll take offense. I don't even want to do you to do it just to annoy him or make him look bad. I just think it's such a fun style to spectate and cast. So yeah, please just do it just to give us something exciting to talk
Well,
Do it
about.
for the
first of all,
cast.
Artosis, please advance to round of 8. That's not an
Let's all root
I
for
also want to see him
Artosis.
advance to the round of 8. I think that would be hype.
Yeah. Thanks so much for dropping by, Bonyth. Do you want to say anything to your fans out there before you leave?
Uh, I don't know. Like fingers crossed, guys. For me, I enjoy your. I'm happy that you support me, and I will continue to play my own style and hope you guys enjoy.
Thank you so much, Bonyth, and good luck in the rest of the tournament. We look forward to casting more of your games. Take care of yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right, that was Bonyth. Thank him for the winners interview. And with that, it looks like we're going to start wrapping up this group. So out of the 4 players in Group B, our two players who are going to be advancing is Bonyth and JDConan, which is like there's no real upsets there.
Mm,
Everyone would agree that those two felt like the strongest players
yeah,
in this
yeah.
group. But yeah, I'm excited to see where everything goes from here.
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising the order of things, though. I didn't necessarily think that
Mhm.
JD Conan was actually going to 2-0 Bonyth and get out of the group first. That was a little bit surprising, I would
Yeah.
say. And we also had DeWalt and Rhett get out from Group A. So we got 4 players already decided for the round of 8. And we'll be joining you, I think, not next week, but the week after for Group C with Zero, Worst, Julian, and Eon Zerg. That's going to be a fantastic group as well.
Yeah, and then the next day is gonna be the legendary Artosis group with Dragon, Artosis, Dexter, and Hawk. Um, I do think actually Artie has a decent chance of getting out of that group. I think he's historically had not a great win rate against Dragon, but I do think he has it in him to beat Hawk and Dexter.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. And the thing is, like, Artosis struggles against Zergs that are cheesy, and Hawk is like one of the only Zergs that doesn't really get a whole lot cheesy. You know, he's a pretty
Mhm.
solid macro Zerg. So maybe that pairing would be really good if Artosis does have to show down with him in a winners match or losers match. Maybe he actually can deal with Hawk as a Zerg.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see that. So we'll catch you guys on the next IPSL. But before you leave, I just wanted to shout out the IPSL donation page as well as their merch store. If you guys want to support IPSL, if you believe in what we do, if you believe in StarCraft and the foreign scene, please come out and support us financially, keep the lights on, and keep the prize pools big. Um, oh, and also CS LAN is coming up in August, from August 15th to 16th. It's going to be held in Oklahoma City. That is
Nice.
Aaron's little backyard there, but it's not going to be in his backyard. It's going to be at a pretty nice venue in I think the University of Oklahoma. Is that correct? But yeah, please come out and see us in person. I know I'm going to try to make it. And I think we already have a couple big names going, including Artosis and Striker, um,
Nice.
as well as G5, So a lot of big names already confirmed going. So please come out and play some StarCraft.
Yeah, nice, man. And yeah, Artosis lives for those offline events. I'm not surprised that he's going to be showing up. Yeah, he's talked about it in the past where he really loves the kind of old school vibe of LAN parties. So he tries to attend just about everyone that he can. So super fun to hear that there's some big names already confirmed and others considering. I think G5 and Crossy are considering it. I'm not sure if they're a sure thing yet, but yeah, should be a really fun tournament. And like Rice Hat says, don't forget to check out that merch. It's some good quality merch as well, not some cheap
Mhm.
print on some actually like nice hand stitched in stuff that will, be able to survive your washing machine.
Right. And with that, we are drawing this event to a close. Thank you all for watching. And I don't know, any last words from you, Shin?
No, it's been an absolute blast yet again to be aside you in the casting booth, Rice Hat. Hope
Of
we get to
course.
do it again sometime in the near future. I've been Jean, with me, Rice Hat. Hope you guys have enjoyed your stay here in the IPSL round of 16 Group B. We'll be joining you in a couple of weeks for that Group C, guys. Look forward to it. Thanks so much.